Freakonomics Radio is sponsored by Adidas. Check out the latest footwear innovation from Adidas, the Adizero Adios Pro 2, which features carbon fiber energy rods that are both lightweight and precisely tuned for a more anatomical transition. Everything from the ultra-light polyester upper to the re-sculpted midsole and the reinvented outsoles are designed for speed. Visit adidas.com to learn more today.
This is Jordan Grace, and you're listening to the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
PWI, this is One Nation Radio. You better get it right. Rich Latta, James Boyd came to give them life. The Blackest Wrestling Podcast has come to kick all ass and drop it 6 feet if they kicking trash. Word, let me welcome y'all to something different. And if you dig it, man, you should let some friends listen. We be getting it in, this on the regular dude. Ravish and flow, but this shit rude. See, James don't rap, so I had to break it down. The whole network, man, we coming for the crown. Raps in the columns, I keep them both covered. Making the beats too, so the listeners can bump it. Hit us with the rating, yeah, I'm saying it's a 5. Before you hit it, talk, bob your head side to side. It's One Nation Radio, and this is the beginning. It's Rich, and I'm here with James. It's time to listen to One Nation.
We got to unleash the power of the pyramid.
This is Mike Sempervive from WrestlingObserver.com. Check me out on Wrestling Observer Live every day. And also check out your boys, Rich and James, on One Nation Radio.
This is Kenny Omega. We're listening to One Nation Radio. Check it out, guys. These guys know what's up. Big Kenny Omega fans, that's all that counts to me. Goodbye and good night. Bang.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to One Nation Radio. I'm James Boyd, and here with me I have Rich Latta. What's going on, man?
Not much, man. Just putting together a lot of this stuff. We got coming up to talk about here, organizing and looking at this NXT that's going on tonight. And my God, it's a very different show. I don't have a full review for you guys. I don't have notes or anything. Yeah, but let's just say it's very different. I would encourage everybody to at least check out like the first hour of the show. It's going to be like a whirlwind of change has just happened. There's tons of green dudes everywhere. There's people cutting terrible promos. There's a bunch of lights. It looks like a daytime television studio setup. It's a complete Triple H has completely been like shoved out the door. Like they've got somebody in the title match tonight that I've never heard of before. So and they're doing angles and shit, like lots of them. They have a mafia character set to debut soon. You
said Kyle O'Reilly got pulled out of the title match on an angle.
Yes, on an angle, and he's being replaced by a dude named Von Wagner, who is actually Cal Bloom, who people may have noticed got some early work when the pandemic first started, doing jobs on like SmackDown or whatever. But yeah, I guess before we take off, and we will come back because obviously Samoa Joe has vacated the NXT title Sunday night. I've had 2 days to sit on this. I've actually kind of thought about it, and the show tonight has definitely confirmed what I've been thinking. So we'll get to that later. But yes, it is it's the 9th anniversary of One Nation Radio, James. What the hell are we still doing here?
I don't know. We started this show up as a, more or less like we had these conversations, 2 or 3 times a week about different things, whether it was wrestling or sports. And when this show first started, we were a sports/pro wrestling podcast. And then as it evolved, we went further and further into the darkness, further into the muck of fake fighting. And we more or less became a pro wrestling podcast that eventually, if something happens that we care about, we'll talk about, Bobby Bowden's death, someone's passing, or the Michael Jordan doc, or something like an album release, something like that. We'll talk about that or whatever else. But most of this run, it evolved to a wrestling podcast, and we've been here, more or less this way ever since then. What are your thoughts? You said, how the hell do we get here? What are your thoughts on how the hell we got here?
Yeah, man. lots of shows. I don't know the official number. Maybe there's somebody out there that's been listening from the very beginning that can figure it out.
Oh God, that poor person.
It's a lot. From having absolute terrible audio in the beginning, like they're trying to figure this shit out, and like it was just like a full DIY project. It was like, well, how do we do a podcast? Well, I know how to record a song, so how about I just do the same shit? Like, and you know, we've since like I think we've matured a great deal as like podcast hosts without even really like trying. It kind of has just happened. The old shows are just, you know, Wild West format. Like we would roll out of bed and just be like, all right, cut the mic on. Like, and I don't know, it sounded all right, but we've grown an audience and we've had people that have been rocking with us for a long time. Appreciate all you guys, and I'm happy to still host the show every week. And like the cool thing about it is like the way, and I think we actually got some questions that kind of touch on this, so I don't want to go too much into it, but like our tastes have like changed over time. So it's just like the more that we required of our like the more that we required to be entertained by, and we required like a certain level of quality, like the more we've had to go around the world to get it, which is cool because like, I mean, like it's weird. It's like, was WWE always this bad? No, like
no, it wasn't.
but like, it's like, man, what if we were like even going around the world even earlier? I always wonder about that, but I'm, you know, happy to always be doing the show. 9 years. Next year's gonna be 10 years in One Nation Radio.
Wow.
I think that's when we'll probably like do like something super special, or we'll have to come up with something, but we'll have our like 10 years of One Nation Radio, wrestlers of, you know, the One Nation Radio era, matches of the era, different shit like that. So like, yeah, any ideas you guys got that could help us celebrate, any positive notes you want to send to us, we'll take them. You know, we'll go ahead and you know, get those. But yeah, 9 years, man, it's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, think of it this way: like, how many times have I quit? What, 2, 3, 4 times I've quit? They'd be like, after WrestleMania, yeah, bro, like the NBA playoffs are here. Nah, man, I think I'm done. Or they just bust Roman's head to the white meat. I'm good. That's fucking stupid. They've been building this guy for half a fucking decade at this point. And they just left him in a pool of his own shit. And then he got up and got beat with a regular fucking wrestling move after it. What the fuck are we watching? What is this? This is nonsense. So, yeah, like you said, our tastes have changed a lot, and I'm sure I saw some of the questions. I'm sure we'll go into that in more detail. Is there anything else you want to hit on as far as the 9 year or?
Yeah, man. Thanks for doing the show with me. Like,
thank you for being a friend.
Thank you for being a friend.
Oh,
I might have talked to James about wrestling more than like, I don't know, like a lot of other people about anything. Like, so yeah. At this point,
yeah.
But I honestly, I think I don't know if wrestling is the thing we've ever talked about the most. Like, I don't know.
Compared to what, for example, like the NBA?
Yeah, like the NBA or even rap. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. So
yeah,
it'll probably be close, but. Yeah, so let's jump into some of these questions. First one comes from Dylan James. What's up, Dylan? He says, happy 9th anniversary. How would you guys rate wrestling overall in the last 10 years?
How would you want to answer it? Are you going to compare it to like what we grew up on, or?
I would say sure.
Compared to what we grew up on, like, you know, looking back on it at the time, because at the time in the 90s when I was watching, that's my only frame of reference. Like, my first memories of watching anything was like the 92 SummerSlam with Brett and Bulldog and Brett. And then WrestleMania 2000, I used to have one of those illegal cable boxes to get pay-per-views. That's how I was always watching it. Like, either my cousin Alex folks had it, or I ended up getting it. And then, like, once they kind of adapted technology to where like I had to get a new box. We were waiting. There was a wait period where I couldn't get a new box, and by that point in time, it was like early 2000, and I ended up missing WrestleMania that year. But when I came to school and I heard that the fucking Rock had lost, I was like, I'm done. That's fucking stupid. I washed my hands of wrestling. I was kind of getting out of the loop by that point in time. WCW was in the shit by that time. The only thing I was watching was WWF. And then like Rock was hotter than the sun and they beat him and he's like the first babyface to ever lose WrestleMania. I was like, I'm fucking done. That's fucking stupid. I'm done. And, you know, more or less like the WrestleMania 25 Shawn Undertaker match it was like the first wrestling I had to watch from that point on. And then, I would watch WrestleMania with you, and then like The Rock came back, and then he had the Cena thing build, and then all of a sudden the pipe bomb hits, and then like it was like, all right, let's start watching wrestling again. But you know, like generally if I would say WWE, I would say the first half of the decade, I would have said, or let me phrase that, the first few years, the first third of the decade, I would have been like, it's better. Outside of 2016, really. I would say that the storylines as far as the wrestling is just better, flat out better. They're better wrestlers, they do more stuff, there's less rest holds, all that in WWE. The whole entire style is modernized compared to the 90s. But their insistence on getting heat and their lack of being able to build a baby face is like, if this ain't the Vince McMahon that I grew up watching. That dude knew how to make babyface left and right with the greatest of ease at times. Like maybe those dudes weren't exactly selling out the biggest buildings in the world, but like they would be in front of the crowds of people that were there, and those crowds would love them. People love, like, don't get it fucked up. Like people loved Diesel, people loved Bret Hart, people loved Shawn Michaels. Don't let that new generation era make you, and the fact that they didn't draw as much make you think that like people didn't love those people when they were there. Because I was there amongst those people. I was watching those shows. They were hot for those guys. But yeah, I would say basically the last 2/3 of the decade for WWE in the main roster anyway, like it was just a mess. And like the saving grace for them was their network stuff.
Yeah. It was like a fork in the road split at a certain point. You can probably draw the line at like the 2017 Royal Rumble. like after that, man, it gets real rough.
What happened in the 17 Rumble? Was that Orton?
Nah, yeah, Orton won,
right?
But AJ Styles dropped the belt to Cena.
Yeah,
and it was like,
and then it went to Bray Wyatt, and Wyatt to Orton, and then Orton to Jinder. Yeah.
Meanwhile, the whole Brock thing is still around. Undertaker's hanging around. Roman Reigns is still getting booed.
Remember the build to WrestleMania 34 and like that Royal Rumble, and how it was like that's one of the best pay-per-views WWE's ever done. They cemented Nakamura, they cemented Asuka. They're about to go to WrestleMania, and like this card is loaded, and Daniel Bryan's back after being gone for years, and it's like we're off to the races. And
we weren't.
After that Ronda Rousey debut match, it was down the tubes. It was down the tubes for like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I would say overall, like, you know, the cool thing is I've discovered like the wrestling around the world, and that's flat out the best wrestling I've ever like consumed and watched in my life. From the New Japan from 2015 to 2019 was where it was at. And then that rolled right into AEW. Like, and that's been the peak of my wrestling fandom.
Yeah. The peak of my wrestling fandom has been more or less like 2016 to 2020 NXT, but early to like Portland, like February 16th, 2020. I know the date. Like that was like my favorite run of North American professional television, professional wrestling television. AEW is right up there as far, or actually beats it as far as storytelling. The match quality isn't at that level, but whatever, it doesn't matter. So with that, and plus like, you know, most of the best matches I've ever seen him from New Japan Pro Wrestling. So that's just a whole nother thing.
Ciampa won.
Oh, that's cool. So Ciampa's a babyface champion. Interesting.
I guess, yeah.
Well, he's been like him and Thatcher were, unless something's happened last month when I was watching, like him and Thatcher were babyface team or whatever else. So, well, really like an anti-hero team of tough grizzled bastards that people cheered because they're tough grizzled bastards.
Yeah, interesting. But let's go on to our next question here. It's funny, Muzza said, who do you prefer to win and who will most likely win the NXT 4-way match? So it was Ciampa.
I would have said Dunn.
Yeah, I would have said LA Knight, but LA Knight actually was the one.
Wait, because it is the smartest business decision, or because like it was who Vince would have picked because he's a body guy?
I guess.
And he'd be like, "You remind me of Rock, except you're white. I can do more with you now."
Yeah, it's funny. Like LA Knight did 2 jobs tonight.
Oh, he got pinned?
Yeah, he got pinned.
Wow. No, he got pinned in the main event?
Yes.
Damn.
And the opener.
Damn. That boy is grand opening, grand closing.
Yes.
Booking L's.
He also says, who has been your 5-star Grand Prix MVP and your most surprising competitor? Someone that's performed better than expected.
You want to go with yours first, or you want me to go with mine?
You can go with yours. I would say I have not watched enough to have an MVP.
I think you have. Do you watch it? How many nights? The first 2 nights that you watch?
You know what? I might as well just say Shuri.
Well, yeah. Like the MVP is Shuri so far. Like Shuri has, let's see. I think she's 5 matches in now. Or let me look real quick. Well, anyway, she had the opening match was with Kamitani. That's 4.25. Her second match was 4.5 with Micah. That I gave 4.5. If some people may have given it 4.25. I don't know what the fuck. That match was incredible. She had the match with Azumi. That's like 4 stars, 4.25. She had the match with Utami. That was great. That's like Meltzer gave it 4.5. I gave it 4.25. A lot of people was in that 4.25 range. She had the match with Konami. I get at 4 flat stars from not this past weekend's sets of shows, but like from the September 4th and 6th shows. I get at 4 stars. And then the match she had with who was it? I'm blanking, but she had a match on. No, I'm sorry. She had a match on this. Oh, with the match with Konami was on the 6th, not the 4th. But I get that match 4 flat stars. So like, I think every match she's had so far has been 4 stars or better. There might be one match. I'm forgetting, like a match with like Ruaka or Unagi. No, I don't think she had a match with them yet. Like she was basically like the person to come out the gate and have the hot start with like the top wrestlers in that block, and she's been killing it. So for me, just every match she's had has been a great match or better. So for me, it's Shuri. People that have surprised me so far, we're only 3 matches in for her, I think. But like, I'll probably say Kaguma. Kaguma, like she had 3 stars, 4 stars, 3.5. Like she's had a 3.5 star rating. Like she came out of retirement like 2 months ago or 3 months ago. She's consistently having really good matches. So yeah, I mean, I probably won't last, but we'll see. Like, I mean, she hasn't wrestled Mayu yet, so like, that'll jump the average up. And but like, she's Natsupoi and Kid and Julia, so like, she's wrestled some of the better wrestlers in her block, but like, they're still Himeka, there's still Mayu to go. So and Saki, I'm sure her and Saki have good chemistry. Like they, so yeah. So far, I would say Kaguma.
So next question comes from Bruce Melsmone. What's up, Bruce? Longtime listener. He says, congrats, guys. How have you each grown as wrestling journalists in the last 9 years? What are some goals that you each have for the next 9? If those are too boring, try this one instead. If you could write and perform one entrance theme, whose would you do?
Oh, this is towards you, like, because I'm not a wrestling journalist, and I'm also not a rapper, so these are definitely for you.
I am not a journalist either. I'm a personality.
You are a long form shit poster.
Yeah, a long form. Yes, I'll come out here and give you something in the column to try to capture the moment and the larger theme behind something. But I would probably say I started. Like the first columns I ever wrote were like in 2013, I would say. And it was just a lot more like blog style analysis. And then like I really kind of put myself through like writing camp, like in the LOP forums in 2017, like with Sir Sam. And it was like I was putting out like 3 columns a week and shit. And then like my run on the Lords of Pain main page where it was like, all right, it's like the rapid fire, like it like I stopped trying to make like everything the most epic thing possible, and it was like, all right, I'm giving you rapid fire stuff, quick analysis, but like shit's still funny, shit can still be like compelling, but it's like a live in the moment kind of piece, I would say. So I had different people receive it different ways. There were, I had the door open for me to touch on more controversial topics, which I felt like I had fun tackling. And I think, and I haven't really written much, and I would actually return to writing a column earlier this summer. And I feel like I can visualize doing like a column a little bit easier than I did back in the day now, just because of that experience. But, I would say some goals that I have, like I still want to sell out. I still want this whole shit to get bought out, by, the Ringer or Spotify or some shit. So,
Spotify, yes. Ringer,
yes.
No.
Yeah, Spotify. We can go ahead and get the bag. Those wrestling shows they got on Spotify now are fucking horrible. So like we can go on there and set the shit correct.
Well, yeah, that's what I was getting at. Like the Ringer is like, I don't think they will want our content.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if they want us to change our content, we will gladly do so for the great almighty dollar. That's fine. That's fine. We'll do that. But outside of that, I don't think so.
And if I could write and perform one interest theme, it would be Kenny, obviously. Like, I'd figure it out. Question from the JML. What's up, JML? He says, happy anniversary. 1, do you think any of the lower NXT titles get discontinued when NXT 2.0 gets relaunched? And he also has another question. Who do you think wins the 5-star GP now that Julia's out? And a bonus question. What was the most fun that you had on an episode of One Nation Radio?
Oh, man. Okay, so let's go one by one.
Yep. I don't think any of the titles are getting discontinued. Hell, they might add more titles.
I could see them getting rid of the Cruiserweight title.
Okay.
But because it's like 205 Live is just on, like, it ain't even on life support. Like, that is a cadaver. That is a vegetable. Yeah.
Shivo. But, he says, who do you think will win the 5-star GP now that Julia's out? I'm still going with Mayu. I have not changed.
Yeah, my 2 picks are either Mayu or Shuri. And, a lot of people thought Julie just because, they're pushing her as the top star of the company, even if, like if she became the Red Belt champion, like, okay, then why did you do this for Shuri then? Yeah, so anyway, like, I didn't know that she was injured. I guess she got injured this weekend because this past weekend she was fine. Like she wrestled on not 8 days ago. So I don't know what happened to her.
They're going to have to redo all the points and all that.
No, they won't. What they'll just do is normally with them, like, cause this happened with Utami and Jungle 2 years ago at the Grand Prix when both of them got hurt. Like Utami got hurt early and then Jungle got hurt in the middle. So basically what they end up doing is they just like, all them shits are forfeited. All them points are just transfer. Everybody that's left to face them gets the 2 points, and then they rejigger from there. But got to keep in mind, like, Maya already beat Julia, so in like this in night 2. So it was like, not even concerned like he's gonna fuck with the points because those points were already given to. Like, it was gonna come down. It was most likely gonna come down to those two. Like, the leader in the from where I've left off at will be Starlight Kid, and like Starlight Kid faces Mayu in the block final of the Grand Prix. So like, it's probably gonna come down to those two anyway. Like, and Julie already faced both of them. So, like, they already got the points they were going to get anyway. So, it's actually kind of like, they may have just, got lucky, because it could have been fucked up. But I want to know what happened to her, though. I got to find that out, I guess.
There's also, as bonus question, what was the most fun y'all had on an episode of One Nation Radio?
Oh, man.
That is such a wide, varying question. I definitely enjoyed having like Tanya on when she started like just blacking out about Mark Henry and Ronda Rousey and stuff like that. That was classic comedy. I'll give you one from the early days of One Nation Radio. We were doing Michael Jackson's best songs. And we were talking about the Smooth Criminal video, and I had been like saving, I like Smooth Criminal, so I was like, Michael Jackson was doing the fucking lean, like, you have to listen. I believe it's episode 30 of One Nation Radio, if you can find it.
Yeah, like I'm guessing we did a March Madness bracket for it.
Yep.
Yeah, like we did it before. Like did we do that before we even did the Kanye one was on Twitter?
Yes.
Yeah, and then we eventually did the Kanye one when it actually happened, and we did one of him too, and like, whew. Long time has changed. There's not too much Kanye West related material on One Nation Radio since 2016. Yeah. Since that whole MAGA thing. That's wow.
I usually like the award shows. I have a lot of fun doing those. I would probably also say I don't know if this counts for One Nation Radio, but it was the FOH draft last year when I went on that big rant about Kenny Omega breaking people's brains. Like that was some all time audio right there.
Yeah, I don't know about the awards are high up there. The year-end reviews for we were doing AEW and WWE and Stardom and New Japan. I enjoy those. I enjoy like listening to people's top 10 favorite match lists for promotion that we had them on the cover, or their time in the general top 10 list. Like one of my funniest moments was like Zach, when we had to record his top 10. His favorite match was from last year was the Naito Okada match from night 2 of Wrestle Kingdom, and he talked about how like even the pandemic was worth this win after 2018. And we laughed his ass off air. Like what? I'm trying to think what else. Like, I mean, I've really enjoyed like it's maybe not the funniest thing, but I would say the most satisfying thing was probably when we did the live show at the Hooters in Manhattan. Like across the street from the Garden. Like that was super cool in 2019. And then like we were having a watch party, and then you see like some of the wrestlers show up from New Japan. That was cool.
Yeah, that was for sure. Like, just like shout out to Chad Matthews, like who kind of helped swing that. But yeah, that was definitely like really cool. And I would just say like doing One Nation Radio is always fun. So like, for any given week, you can find us laughing our ass off. So that's why it's kind of hard to point to.
Oh, I got a good one.
Particular stuff. But.
I got a good one. You mentioned Chad, and it made me go back to the summer of 2018. He was on the show to promote his book, the greatest rivalries, the 50 greatest rivalries in WWE history. And he went and by that point in time, I was gone from the show, and Rich was basically holding up the flag. His own John Cena, his own Tanahashi, just hold up the flag for the company. Just the ace. And I was gone. I was that was that disheartened by WrestleMania 34. I came on the show because Chad had forwarded me a copy of his book, and we were interviewing him and asking different questions and stuff. And I'd asked him, like, I think it was like, are you, like, what can kind of, you wrote this book, and like, look at your fandom now, like, where, like, what are you looking forward to? Is there still stuff to go? And he had one of this analogy talking about the Brock Lesnar thing, him just like being so done with Brock Lesnar running the title picture in whatever brand he's on, and to the point where he's like, he made an analogy to a stick about how he's been getting jabbed and poked with the stick over and over and over multiple times for over the weeks, months, and years. And he says he's about ready to take that fucking stick and break it over his knee. He's had enough, and I fucking howled on air. Like that was one of the funniest things that's ever happened on the show. Because like Chad's relatively mild mannered, but obviously he'll say whatever. I don't think he's ever holding back or pulling punches with whatever his opinions are. But like the fact that he went for like 5 to 10 minutes. I can't remember how long this rant was, but uninterrupted. Only thing that's interrupting this man from just a stream of consciousness, a stream of rage, was our occasional laughs. Like sparsely in between his comedic pauses almost. Like that was it. And when he landed the dismount on that, I was like, wow. Like I understand he writes books, but he could be really good at fucking radio. Like obviously it's a podcast, but like the fact that like he just went off on his own, like that's a whole entire segment. That was a 9-minute segment. And he'd be like, we'll be right back after these messages and go to commercial if this is a radio show. So right. It was hilarious. It was perfect.
Yeah. One thing I also like enjoy about like our show is just like we don't run from like shit. Like it's like if there's something out there that needs to kind of get like talked about, we'll do it, whether it's like serious or it's like funny or it's shit that no one else can talk about. There, like I said, there are other people that have popped up that have made being the quote unquote black podcast their thing. Like there's a lot of those, but they're not going to be able to give you what we're giving you. Like I'm sorry, I may be biased, but this is where it's at. Dan Coffin, shout out to Dan. He says, how does AEW recover from the Suzuki incident?
Oh, for fuck's sake. I think they'll be fine. In the aftermath of all of this, well, not the aftermath of that, but like an aftermath of like him having his match, like, isn't he coming back?
Yeah, he's coming back tomorrow with Archer? He's gonna be with Archer, yeah. And he's going to be calling out Mox, and I think they're going to be doing a tag match at Arthur Ashe. It's going to be
with Kingston.
With Kingston
that'd be cool.
And Moxley against Archer and Suzuki. So, thanks for the 700 plus likes on that. I got my Suzuki incident joke off, and that one hit, pretty high. But it, that whole thing was just like, man, like
the crazy part is we know who started the thing.
Yes, we know who started this. Like, I'm not going to shame him on air, but hopefully a valuable lesson was learned. So shouts out to my man Joe Sabo. What's up? He says, happy 9th anniversary, gents. Who wins the AEW World Title first, CM Punk or Bryan Danielson?
I'd probably say CM Punk.
I will go with Bryan Danielson.
Okay. I just feel like the way they positioned it, given that Omega is, closing in on at this point now, like 10 months with the title. Like for him to go straight to Daniel Bryan, it almost feels to me as if it's like, okay, well, he'll get past that one. Bryan will, will take his loss and then build back up from there. Whereas like Punk is like not even in the title picture. So like he's already ahead of the curve as far as building that. Cause I don't think that Daniel Bryanson is going to come in and on his first title match in AEW within like 3 months of debuting win the title. I don't think Tony Khan books like that. So just from that perspective in the cycle, I think that CM Punk has a percentage-wise a better chance of winning. I'm sorry I aromantically turned this thing into a numbers crunch, but that's just me.
I had the idea that CM Punk would be challenging for the AEW World Title come next All Out in Chicago. Like that would be like his first like title match, or if he doesn't face Punk or whatever, face Omega by that time. Whoever has the belt at that point, CM Punk will be waiting for them at All Out in Chicago. I don't know if he wins. By
that time, that'll be like his 20th time in Chicago in AEW anyway. So it'd be like you could afford to beat him. It would be like the crowd will riot. Nah, they've seen him plenty. Right. They've seen him plenty.
like my reason for picking Bryan Danielson is like, I feel like if he gets this early loss out the way, like he'll be able to come back to the title if it changes hands. Like if it changes hands, like he's as good as like anyone as far as like coming back. Like if you need whoever beats Kenny to have a great match, which if it's Hangman at that point, it could be, I don't know, like, MJF's in the mix, and he's slightly younger than Punk, so
that's true.
I'll give Bryan the edge.
It has in his way, it's in close. Like he was in the main event of WrestleMania this year. Like he's been out of wrestling for what 4 months compared to like 7 years.
Right. What's up to Sir Sam? He says, congrats on the 9 years, fellas. If you were making choices, who do you have as the next 3 AEW champions? And his second question is, what do you think New Japan could do to get a little juice and interest back in its product? As you guys have noted, it feels incredibly stale.
Okay, first three, or next 3 AEW World Champions. Ooh, that's difficult. I'm not going to put it in order, but I would say Hangman, Adam Page, MJF. I'm going to say CM Punk as well.
I'm going to go Hangman, MJF, Bryan.
Okay. Yeah.
It just feels like, MJF's always been protected as hell. I mean, you could even throw Adam Cole in there too.
Yeah, you could. You know what? Like, I think a lot of that, us saying MJF and Hangman, a lot of that is hanging on to like what it was before the price of the brick has like exponentially changed and gone up. Like we were talking about, Hazuki's retirement a couple weeks ago, as far as like her outlook, as far as like she is someone that should be a white belt champion. But then when they bring in Shuri and Julia and Natsupoi, and like the price of the brick went up. She went from being someone that was a shoo-in to someone that like more or less was chilling once Tag League came around 2019. So maybe we're just holding on to like what it would have been had Bryan, Punk, and Cole had not shown up. But so like, because it's Daniel Bryan and CM Punk, man. It's Daniel Bryan and CM Punk and Adam Cole. Like that is. If I was going to start a promotion from scratch, you asked me who I'm going to pick first. Out of those 5, Punk, Bryan, and Cole are the first 3 I'm taking.
Yeah, they I would probably put Punk and Bryan, a level above, and I would put Cole on par with like Hangman, with MJF, like kind of possibly like in his own tier, simply because he's like just a heel. He fits the archetype of just a heel champion he could be. I don't know necessarily like when that happens, but I think Hangman's going to be really over when he comes back, and then we'll have to reevaluate him from there. But as far as what do I think New Japan could do to get a little juice and interest back in its product, I think they need to scale down a little bit. Like they're like no selling essentially all these issues that they've had, going bigger venues, more shows.
I don't even know if they're doing bigger venues as much as that they're doing more venues and big shows. I don't know if that's what you mean. But
yeah, like now they're doing these MetLife Stadium shows here. Wrestle Kingdom's 3 fucking days next year, and it's like I know they have to do that from like the perspective of like they're trying to make a bunch of money up that they didn't get, but that doesn't like make for the best experience for the viewer. I think I think they need the pandemic to end, and that's not something that's necessarily in their control. But I think, man, go back to Okada. Okada's such a crowd-based wrestler. Like,
right.
I don't know if you do that with him right now, like, and make him quote unquote go down with the ship. Like, it's good to experiment with, hey, someone like Shingo's win the belt. I never thought Shingo would win the belt just because whatever. Like, once Evil won, they, anybody can win that belt now. So I don't know. It's really tough, to say what they can do, because New Japan is so regimented. Like, they don't change much. There's always a G1 coming. There's always a New Japan Cup coming. There's always so it's the things you have to do things within that structure. You can't necessarily blow it up, per se. I would elevate Hiromu Takahashi to heavyweight. Fuck that junior division. Sorry. Let Rob Eagles, handle that, and elevate Hiromu. And they've maybe, reach out to other, promotions in Japan. And I know they don't want to do it. And there's a lot of political reasons. There's a lot of stuff as far as with TV deals that going on. There's even more politics than you can imagine. But in a world, imagine if it could get past that. I would love to see the great youth wrestlers like your Takeshita's or Kaito Kiyomiya or somebody come over to have a big match on the show or something like that. Because as I always mention, this roster is only getting older and only wrestling each other more times.
Yeah. Scaling down. They need to get out of the 20-man G1 block. Need to scale that down to 16 for now. They need to blow up they need to get rid of they need everything to be catch weight. They got to get rid of the junior division. Either they got to scale down on G1 to 16, or they got to get rid of the division. Either throw Shoyo and Takahashi in there.
Oh, fire Dick Togo as well.
Oh yeah, as well. Yeah, get rid of him. Yeah. Yeah. So I would say that stuff. And like you mentioned, the 2 nights of shows or whatever else, no. If y'all need to have Dominion or the Jingu Baseball Park or MetLife, whatever else, either find a bigger venue than the baseball field. I don't know what that would be. I don't know if it makes sense to me to say y'all need to do 4 Tokyo Dome shows in a year, but you're already doing 3, and they're going to be back to back to almost to back. Instead of spreading those shits out, if you're still worried about capacity, but they have watered down their card so much for their big events that it just doesn't feel like the New Japan we used to watch, where you see on the show you're going to see 3 to 5 great matches on a card. Now you're going to get whatever nonsense in the first 2. The card actually starts, and then you get the mid card stuff that's always good normally, depending on who's in it. If also destroy King of Pro Wrestling, get that the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
But and then you go to intermission and you have your semi-main event and your main event. I would but them having to do so much wrestling over the weekend and spread these guys out, where one person's big match on the weekend, the next day they're in a multi-person tag match, X86 that shit. You're watering down your product. I understand that you are a live gate business model, but it's kind of similar to when we talk about the quality dropping so low and being thinned out that it's less attractive to people to want to buy a ticket. I feel like we've reached that point with New Japan. So I feel like they need to strengthen their one night of a card and try to draw as many people into a big building with low capacity that's on the capacity restriction than them saying we're just going to throw some out that's watered down and cut with Similac and send it out to the people.
Yeah. So
they also need to whatever is going on with their gaijins, their top gaijins, they need to rectify that because they're all not there. They're all in New Japan Strong. They're all over in America.
Because if they don't, I got a feeling I know where they all gonna end up.
Yeah. And I was interested because I was looking at their Japan's vaccination rate, and like they're remarkably similar to ours as far as like the numbers, as far as one shot or fully vaccinated, and like we had access to like the beginning of the year we had access. They didn't have like a lot of people to have accessibility to it until like the spring, and like they have caught up to us. And like, there's never been like a cutoff in as far as the trajectory of like the rate of people going in to get vaccinated. It's still like almost like a 45 degree line as far as more people get vaccinated. Where us, it's like we have tailed off and we were like almost damn near a straight line. So maybe if they can hold on, they can get enough people vaccinated. Because they're in like the mid 50s right now. Maybe they can get themselves. Maybe they could get themselves to 70. By the end of the year. Who knows? And then, like, if that happens, then, I think a lot of this stuff changes, but they still have to, like, have better matches beyond, like, the fact that they don't have, they only have clap crowds, because, like, I watch Japanese wrestling that has all clap crowds, too, and, like, something about these, they need to, like, refocus or relearn that, like, these matches don't need to go super long. That's hurting them. Like, they've never changed their outlook on going super long with these clap crowds, and like, that's hurt Okada. Obviously, he clearly has not learned how to adjust to that. Aside from a few, flashes of brilliance the last 2 years.
Yeah. So Dre Zera, you said the Sheamus and Rollins debate. We actually covered that last week at the very end of the show. If you didn't catch it, so we're gonna move on to at Mazzy Versetti. So he says, what are you guys' current feelings on the current surge of black wrestling fans such as myself speaking up from all sides of wrestling about other black wrestlers' current booking and black talent independent booking?
Things cool. Things are great. I mean, I don't supposed to be negative that like more black people are expressing their frustration with the fact that like wrestling is just like every other form of entertainment in the world. No, it's like they're speaking the truth in their frustration with like not seeing themselves represented in what they watch, even though like you look historically at numbers for black people and for Latino people and like proportions to like their white audience, and like see that like we show up and watch this shit, but we never get, ourselves really watching it, or to get to see ourselves on the screen is kind of weird. So yeah, like, I'm glad more people are talking about it. I wish more white people that are in positions of power that were willing to listen or whatever else. Like, for me, like, you look at wrestling, and I watch enough wrestling now over, the last, let's say this way. The last couple years watching Stardom has really changed my perspective on wrestling, where I used to think, like, where you gonna find like you would see like the PCers or whatever else that they get from all these different backgrounds, and think like, all right, well, if you get enough of these guys that can do X, Y, and Z athletically, then you can go out and do something. It's like, nah, man, they need reps. Like, it's cool that you can bench. It's cool that you can jerk up 350 pounds, but it's almost like the Kevin Durant thing with the bench press at Combine. It's like, who gives a fuck if he can bench and press 185 pounds? Like, he has dribbled a basketball. I understand wrestling's a little bit more as far as, moving people's body weight and that kind of thing and explosion. But, like, the best predictor if you're going to be good in the ring is, like, have enough reps to be good in the ring. And, like, watching Stardom and seeing the rate of improvement of their wrestlers, and, like, also, like, thinking about, like, the athleticism, in the athleticism department compared to the counterparts of the PC, and see that like they fucking Stardom lap in almost every fucking Joshi dojo like laps them as far as improvement rate. Is like, yeah, there's something going on here that doesn't quite make sense. So like it has to be the reps and seriousness of like the way we promote and push black indie talent and female indie talent to where they can reach, certain levels in the macro. So, I feel like when, people point out their frustrations with, major American professional wrestling is point out, I was like, hey, you mean to tell me that in a fake sport where people do athletic feats and then but it's mostly about having swagger and charisma, there is a dearth of black faces on your television? What? What other realm of entertainment does that make sense or exist? That that's not music? No. We've created every popular genre the last 50 fucking years. Or 60 years, what do you want to say? Sports? I'm sorry, what? I remember when we had Super Vivi on television, not television, on our show maybe a year or two ago when we were talking about, I was like, you mean to tell me, they found all these P-series, all these athletic backgrounds, you mean to tell me you can't find some dude that's that was a former 4-star recruit that's about to go to Canadian Football League that they can't find out from Florida State or because they're based on from Miami or from Florida State or from Florida or from wherever else, FIU, FAU, to come in and obviously has a character about or has a presence about them. No, man, this cannot be that hard. It just can't. Honestly, yeah. I'm not saying that everybody needs to be the fucking Rock. I'm sure there's only one of those, but there's got to be a number of something that's maybe not that bright of a star, but stars regardless. Trust me, that ain't the only Bianca Belair in existence. I have a late cousin that was Bianca Belair before it was Bianca Belair. And that's the reason why I liked her so much, because she reminds me of my cousin. I miss her to death. So when I think of that, and she's also a track star in the Florida State, but there's also that at play too, of just where are you looking? And there's issues with Mark Henry, but Mark Henry seems to find these people.
Yeah,
Booker T seems to find these people.
That goes to Jade too. I think he was involved in that. Booker, as you mentioned, it's all about where people are kind of getting in. We talked about on this show a lot about how wrestling, like many other businesses, it's like a who you know, where can you get in, who'd you come up with kind of thing. And the encouraging thing that I've seen on the independent scene, I think lately, is a lot of people taking matters into their own hands. They're like, all right, if there's no show that's going to book us, we're going to set up our own fucking promotion. And that to me is the spirit of Emi Sakura or something. Okay, I'm going to go start Gato Move, shit like that. I don't feel sorry for people that that are trying to there's all these meme wrestlers that are trying to basically start why won't PWG book me and all this other shit. I'm I don't think Emi Sakura would cry about not getting booked in PWG. They would start their own shit or find a way to do it on their own. I think it's cool for fans. I think I've seen some of the hashtags lately, the Black Wrestling Draws stuff on Twitter. I have not participated in it because my only thing about that is all right, where does it end? Sometimes I think the hashtagging can be a bit corny myself, and it's all right, will you be doing this a month from now? What shows are you doing this for? Oh, you have to keep up with all of them. It's it's not our responsibility to fix it, quote unquote. Much like anything else that ever comes with race or anything, it's not it's not on us to quote unquote show up to support. It's for them, the people that are in charge, to make that change. We're not in charge. We can influence stuff as far as the booking and who we cheer for and stuff like that, but it's for me, it feels a little performative at times, the hashtagging and trying to get people watching certain things just because I'm all right, it has to be all or nothing for one, and it's just I don't consider myself looking for wrestling to solve society's issues personally, but Yeah, that's just my thought on it. Like, I think it's cool that more black wrestling fans like are basically jumping on Twitter and like becoming like personalities amongst themselves, and like there's a lot of different types of like fans, which is a cool thing, that are into different things, and I think the differences are needed because like black people are not a monolith, so
ain't that the truth?
I guess I'll clip that for our clip this week. So, but yeah, man. I think that was the last question on Twitter. I believe there was something in Discord that was pretty interesting. So MJ does PR. He just says this is his question. Happy anniversary. Thanks for all the effort, everything you guys do. He sent in NWA ranking. NWA put out they were proud that Camille's in the top 5 of the PWI women's official overall rankings for 2 weeks in a row. He wanted us to discuss Camille's ranking versus Utami. Utami is number 4. Camille is number 2. And the JML throw in more baffled at Becky being number 1 for 26 seconds of work.
I mean, I don't know what you're going to do with that. Like, I've seen Camille wrestle one time ever, and I thought she was completely carried by Layla Hirsch in that match. And like that was a really good match, but like that would have been like the 3rd best match on like the Stardom show that was like 6 hours later, and that was like a house show level show that they put on. Like that was the same show that had like the Takumi's first match against Micah, and then like the high speed belt match between Natsupoi and Starlight Kid.
So I'll say this, and this is actually probably a good transition, and this wasn't on the sheet or anything to talk about the PWI 500. The PWI stuff is not as far away as you guys think it is. This is like the people that are on these committees are not your 35-year journalists like it used to be, that have been doing this since like 1990 and shit like that. You have newer people with different, and I don't say this to say it as a bad thing, but they have different agendas that they're doing when they're putting these PWI rankings together. We have started seeing some Joshi pop up in there, which is actually kind of a testament to it, but it's obviously never going to get the amount of play as like American women in, right, like or American wrestlers even in general. But their top 10 right now is Becky Lynch, Camille, Deonna Purrazzo, Utami, Starlight Kid, Britt Baker's 6, Bianca Belair 7, Raquel number 8, 9, Charlotte 10, Mickie James. And I'm like,
that's all over the place. Why would Starlight Kid be in front of, like, say, Julie or Tam Nakano? Or Shuri?
Right. And I think it may be, well, some of those people even have titles. Like, Shuri has a title.
Yeah. Like, Shuri has 2 titles. She's a tag champion, and she's the Gaijin, and she's the SWA champion.
So, like, keep in mind, like, I would encourage anybody that's, like, baffled about, like, those PWI rankings, like, look who's on those committees, find their Twitter accounts, and just take a look and say, oh, I get it. So, like, like, if it's me, like, if there's, like, a women's wrestling, like, thing, right? Like, I feel like if we worked really hard, I could get James on, like, the PWI women's wrestling.
I don't want to do that.
I guarantee you, like, it's not that far away. Like,
sure, I wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah,
week to week.
Or like, when they come out, they're going to come out with the PWI Women's 100 or whatever, right?
Like, for example, right? Like, I saw that Trish Adora was, I think she was the highest ranking woman in the PWI for this year, right? I think it was like 44 or something like that. And, like, I've never seen her wrestle. I've only heard the name for like since last year, but I've never seen her wrestle. Mm-hmm. Like, I've never heard anybody talk about her as far as saying like she's some, but it's a kayfabe list, so match quad doesn't really work or matter or whatever else. But like she's worked a lot of places, but like these are smaller places. Like, so for me, like I don't know how that works, but like whatever. Like that list is always gonna be wonky. Like she's one of like a bunch of lists that don't make much sense, right? Like to see some of the New Japan rankings like compared to Tanahashi last year or the last like calendar year, that's also wonky too. Like there's always stuff like that. But going back to the women, it's just like you're just never going to get a accurate thing. Like if you're on the main roster, if you're in NXT, if you're in AEW, you have a huge advantage compared to your competitors. Like, but I would say after that though, like it makes no sense anybody would be in front of like top stars in Stardom. Like it don't really make much sense that like a lot of the wrestlers that are on this list are in front of the top stars in Stardom. Like for example, there was the back to the NBA show that Camille's on. That show that they had, I think it was like 1,000 people was their draw. Is what they drew for that show, or in the low 1,000, right? And I'm thinking to myself like, if Stardom wasn't in the middle of a pandemic, like they'd be doing it like every 3 weeks at Korakuen Hall. Like they were selling out Korakuen Hall that's like 1,700 people until the pandemic came and kicked their ass. And like even then, like you still have like these Yokohama Budokan shows, these Osaka Joe Hall shows, not Osaka Joe Hall, but Osaka Indian Arena shows, the Sendai show, the Budokan Hall show where they're pulling in 1,000 people for the pay-per-view. Like, so if it's about impact on a global level, is it just because you people on the side of the world and you don't really outside of the mind? Like I understand that, but it's like they're also out, like, I don't really know, like, they're out wrestling everybody, they're drawing more than, like, their contemporaries in a smaller country, like, goddamn, what do they need to do? If it's a language barrier and the time difference, I get it, but, like, they're just better. And I don't mean that for just Stardom, to say I'm a Stardom mark, that's fine, but it's like, line them up. Like you give me your 10 best wrestlers from Western women's wrestling, and you put them against like the 10 best wrestlers in Joshi. How would that even go?
It would not be pretty, to say the least. Yeah, I
mean, obviously, like Stardom is a and it's not even just Stardom. It's also Tokyo Joshi Pro. Like they're drawing big shows. Like they were third from the top at in freaking that Saitama arena for that gigantic Cyberfest thing. He had a great match. It's one of the best matches of the year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like I was saying, like keep in mind the agendas that are at play in a lot of these things. But yeah, I guess we might as well just roll over to the PWI 500. We can go from the top 10 on there. So number 10 was Rich Swann, held the Impact title for a great part of the marking period, had that match with Kenny Omega on pay-per-view. He also had pinned Moose at a certain point to basically win both of those belts. And he headlined, or he was in the main event of like Verticulture or something like that. Okay. Number 9, Shingo Takagi. So Shingo, he won the IWGP title for the first time. He beat Suzuki. He defended the Never title. He had an awesome reign with that. In the meantime,
he had an awesome match at
G1.
Great G1 was probably the best wrestler in the G1. Had a great match in the I'm gonna say Kingdom Dome, in the Tokyo Dome on January 5th.
Yep.
Like that was New Japan's best show of this year. He had the second best match. Yep. Some people argue the best match.
Number 8, Finn Balor. So he pinned Adam Cole to win the NXT title on September 8th of last year. He beat Pete Dunne in the title match. He had a couple great matches with Kyle O'Reilly. Yep. This is probably like the best Finn Balor I had ever seen.
Oh yeah, not even close. Easily the best Finn Balor I've ever seen in WWE. Like this, like it. Look, you want to rank them? You want to rank the Finn Balor runs?
Sure, go ahead.
Number 1, 2019 to 2021 NXT.
Yep.
Number 2, his first run in NXT.
Yep.
Way at the fucking bottom. Outside of like the first month in WWE on the main roster. That.
Yeah. Number 7, Will Ospreay. So he defeated Kota Ibushi in the Sakura Genesis main event to win the IWGP World Heavyweight title for the first time. He basically had a feud with Tenzan and Kojima and a couple of the other older guys.
He had a great match with Shingo.
Yep, had a great match with Shingo. He also had basically won the New Japan Cup earlier this year, so Ospreay had a very strong year.
Had arguably the best match at Wrestle Kingdom this year against Okada.
Yep. He also, had he not broke his neck, he probably could have been even higher on his list.
Had he not broke his neck.
So
I believe he's back wrestling. That's fucking ridiculous. Yeah, bro, I broke my neck. I'll be back in a couple months. What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So shout out to him. Number 6, Jon Moxley from AEW. He beat MJF in a match. He basically defended against Eddie Kingston as well. Headlined at the Winter is Coming show with Kenny. Defended the IWGP US title a bunch against Kenta and Carl Anderson before finally dropping it to Archer. Defended against Darby Allin. Formed a tag team with Eddie Kingston. Did a lot of stuff in his, we always worry about
the indie stuff.
What do you, yes, indie stuff. He headlined Bloodsport with Josh Barnett, the GCW stuff. So the cool thing about Moxley is
wrestling with New Japan dads.
Yes. They found something for him to do after being the champion, which is
being a great champion. Great champion.
Yeah, which is always that's a key indicator on how good of a booker you are, I think. And it was pretty cool to see that. Number 5, Kota Ibushi. He defeated Naito in night 1 of the Dome, defeated Jay White on the very next night. Still one of my favorite matches of the year. And he kind of had, he won the G1.
The company made him be the scapegoat for them wanting to change the fucking title lineage, so that hurt him.
Yeah, that did hurt him. Also, his, he lost the title shot, so there was a lot that went on with Ibushi.
Yeah,
it's amazing that he actually ended up at 5 because he had a lot of stuff working against him. He's got all the kayfabe accomplishments, but everything around Ibushi just kind of felt weird.
Yeah.
Number 4 is Drew McIntyre. He beat Randy Orton in a no DQ match in November to regain the WWE title at a certain point. He beat Goldberg at the Royal Rumble. He beat Sheamus in a match at Fastlane that was awesome. He defended the title in the Elimination Chamber. And then they sent his ass to WrestleMania and beat him and kept beating him over and over to the point where people were tired of him. But this guy is flat out one of the best heavyweights wrestlers that has ever been in WWE.
Yep. Yeah, he's been great. We only watch, we hear the stuff about what happens week to week on SmackDown and Raw, but we religiously watch these pay-per-views and he always has something for us, which is really hard to do in Vince McMahon's professional wrestling circus because he doesn't really care about the professional wrestling.
Yep. And there was also a wild TLC match he had with AJ Styles and The Miz back in December.
Okay.
So number 3 was Bobby Lashley. Lashley also had a good run this last year, insanely protected all throughout the PC and Thunderdome era. Won the WWE title for the first time from The Miz on a cash or kind of a cash. And he was kind of forced into giving a shot. It was weird how they did it. Beat Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania. Ended up beating McIntyre and Strowman in that wild ass 3-way before they fire Braun Strowman. He won the U.S. title in the marking period. He formed a faction before they broke it up. That was pretty cool. Probably the best year of his career.
In WWE at least, definitely, yeah. Don't really get to see so much about what people say they like about all the stuff with MVP the women and changing out in the melodrama between like Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin or whatever, but like he dresses the part, he wrestles the part, they love him, they protected the shit out of him, he does well, and his matches are good for the most part. That's success for me in WWE.
The bar is low.
That's a success. Like they don't like he tries hard and they don't fuck him up. Like that's yeah.
He'll always try hard. Number 2, Roman Reigns, the big dog. He came back and beat The Fiend and Braun Strowman in a triple threat at Payback last year. That was his 5th world title. He beat Edge and Daniel Bryan, stacked them on top of each other at WrestleMania. He's killed Kevin Owens, beat the brace off him pretty much every time they fought.
Cesaro, great match.
Yep, had a great match with Cesaro. Essentially retired Daniel Bryan from WWE.
In what might have been that's a top 5 Roman match.
He beat Drew McIntyre last year, and he's run roughshod. They've like the big reign that we always said was coming. Oh, this is it, right?
Except
here.
he's a heel.
Yeah.
The big run for the top guy in the company for a returning cancer survivor trying to be as a heel. This company can fuck up a cup of coffee. Like they fuck up Daniel Bryan, fuck up Roman Reigns, and then they both have their runs coming back as heels, not as baby faces. Becky Lynch coming back as being the top baby faces company in since Daniel Bryan, the most over baby faces Daniel Bryan comes back as a heel immediately.
No legs. Like there's no weight underneath that shit. At least Roman. There was an article on Deadspin I read about it. It was really good. Said at least Roman, with him being a heel, it's I think they kind of freestyle some of this shit, but they said it's the paranoia of Roman never being accepted before. That's why he's so hard into this acknowledge me stuff, acknowledge me being this top star. I'm all right, works for me if you say it like that.
That's
but
almost
Becky,
what's it called?
It's like Becky doing this heel thing now. It's nah, man, you earned it. You got over with us. Now you're just being a wrestling heel now. There's not much to it.
Yeah.
But
as far as Roman, I feel his matches are hit and miss, but when they do hit, they are some of the best matches of his career. Absolutely. I think that he gets himself in trouble when he does too much of the monologue or rest hold or that kind of stuff. But by the time a lot of these matches, a lot of Daniel Bryan stuff, the Cesaro stuff, these are some of his best matches of his career. So I think I probably would say this was the best run of his career outside of maybe the 2016 stuff where he was doing a lot of cool stuff with AJ Styles and Seth. But yeah, I mean, I would say given the history of what PWI is, he's someone that merited being at top 2.
Yeah. And essentially he, I think, only got beat by the formula that the number 1 guy put together, which was fucking genius if you think about it. But number 1, Kenny Omega, the combo of being a world champion in 3 companies, that's kind of the cheat code, and that's going to help him a lot come award season as well. I think he's a shoo-in for Flair Thez, has an outside shot at most outstanding if he keeps it up. If the G1 kind of doesn't go the way we think it can go.
Well, I mean, with Ospreay gone, I mean, the only 2 real threats would be Shingo Ibushi and Ishii.
Yep.
The normal 3 best wrestlers in the fucking thing, or the last couple of years anyway. So yeah.
So he beat Jon Moxley for the AEW World Title at Winter is Coming. He drew a big rating on that. Beat Rich Swann for the Impact Title. Defended the AAA belt against Laredo Kid in Triple Mania last year. Retained the AEW title in a 3-way against Pac and Orange Cassidy. Won the Exploding Barbed Wire Death Match. And had a great match with Jungle Boy on TV. Ray Phoenix. He's quite frankly been incredible.
Yeah. And the people that even have opportunity to even match him match wise, they're not going to be in promotions that are going to get that kind of visibility to even win it. Shuri, Tam, Mayu, Takumi Iroha, Takumi, she started so late after she blew out her knee, but like the people that could actually possibly catch her, like no one, like I don't even know where Mayu finished last year. And like Mayu should have been like in the top 3 or 4 for that thing.
Yeah, and I think what's been really notable about Kenny is in comparison to Roman is like Roman Reigns feels like he's really got no challengers or anyone that's even like, and
nobody's a threat whatsoever.
Nobody's the threat, and I think a lot of people are kind of evaluating Roman Reigns' title reign wrong. Like I think they are all concerned with who's going to beat Roman when
there ain't nobody.
That's not the objective here.
No.
Like the objective is like you're riding with Roman Reigns like through the roster.
And that's also a thing of like, because you hear about how slow this all is evolving with his cousins, and you're kind of like, do people just feel like this is better than it's ever been for Roman, so they're afraid to say that like, yeah, this is kind of like needs to speed up? Because like there was one, like obviously everybody feels like what's next or whatever else, because everybody is fantasy booking in their mind, but like when people constantly press this like who's next to take it off of him, it's kind of like, well, does that mean that y'all are over this already?
Yeah, y'all gotta tell me.
Because the thing for me is like, I watch him once a month. I normally enjoy the shit out of his matches. So like, from my perspective, like when people talk about how they're sick of Drew, I'm like, I can't fucking fathom what the fuck y'all are watching on these Mondays and Friday shows, to where like when he comes Sunday and he goes out there and scores 40, y'all say, I'm tired of him dropping 40 every month for me. Who the fuck else is doing these numbers?
Right.
You want the Miz?
I was gonna say, like,
you want Omos? What's wrong with you?
In comparison to Roman's dominance, like, and him being that, like, Kenny's a completely different kind of heel champion with Callus and everything like that, where it's like more about elevating people, like whether it's your Jungle Boys, your young guys, being in the ring with Dante Martin or something like that, like selling for them and making them look credible and still maintaining your own credibility, and then doing what he did with Christian in both of those matches. It's just like,
and it also
I think Kenny's degree of difficulty is like way more, like he's covering more bases than just be dominant.
Yeah. And I think it's also another part is like the promotion, the relationship with the fans and the promotion. Like, you could tell Roman to go out there and, do some of the stuff he did with Bryan, where like you give him alibi, you give him some bail of like, all right, he had him tapped out, but his back was turned or whatever else, that kind of stuff. Like, give the fans actual hope that like there's someone who's actually going to come along and supplant that dude. But like we know what it is with this company. Like this is the run, like we mentioned. Like and there's no shame in that. Like, he's your top guy, so push him like he's your top guy. But like don't. But no one that is honestly watching this thing like he's getting X, Y, or Z over. It's not. This is like he's having some of his best. I think he's the best he's ever been technically in the ring, but like this is for him, and there's no shame with it being for him. Like when we talk about, especially earlier in the year or earlier in the AEW's run, we were talking about like how come Cody and the Young Bucks and Kenny are the top stars of his fucking company aside from Jericho and Moxley? Why not put themselves as top stars? Like, this is his time now. So like, go ahead, go through with like a hot knife through butter. I don't give a fuck, and because I enjoy most of his matches, but like I think for the perspective of like the relationship with the fans is like, people believe that like there will be a time for the people that Kenny is facing. Nobody really believes that there's a time for like people for the Daniel Bryans, the Edges, the Cesaros, the Kevin Owens, like that. Those people aren't going to become.
That don't exist.
There's nothing. There's nothing to look forward to. Like, the only real glimmer of hope was just fucking went to Raw and became champion there. They're not going to face each other until it's time for the exhibition in November. So it's like, okay.
Yeah. And like, it's almost like your classic Ric Flair versus Hulk Hogan in real time, but kind of both of them being heels. So they have the same role, but massively different objectives, it looks like, from the company. So, pretty interesting to see that they went Kenny number one, and I figured that's your kayfabe accomplishments, like going nuts right there. So mixed with the match quality, the wins, the protection, all that in one. There's like, I would encourage you guys to check out PWI 500. It's just it's a cool little tool just to look at everyone in the world, kind of who's on par with who, or who's considered on par with who. But it's a funny list at times, like when you see Hiroshi Tanahashi at like 62, which is like just funny.
What? It'd be one thing if like he hadn't won championships during that period, but he did. Right.
Let's see. So Jey Uso over Seth Rollins, stuff like that. Darby, shout out to him, over Naito. Darby 14, Naito is 15. So, a lot of just interesting things there. I think I saw a Hangman in the 30s, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. Hangman Page 34, Jay White 39, Pac 33, Daniel Bryan 36, Cole 37, Miro 38. That's a loaded like little area right there. So pretty interesting.
All right, so where are we off to next?
They had a segment with Bryan Danielson and Kenny Omega, essentially.
Okay, so
laying it out.
Hold on.
Hear that? Is that America cheering or a sausage patty sizzling to perfection? It's time to cheer for Egg McMuffin and fresh cracked eggs at McDonald's. It's time to wake up to the aroma of freshly baked biscuits and treat yourself to a real honest-to-goodness morning meal. Breakfast, it's on at McDonald's. Now get any breakfast sandwich for just $2. Available only through the app. Mobile order and pay available at participating McDonald's. McD app download and registration required.
Freakonomics Radio is sponsored by Adidas. Check out the latest footwear innovation from Adidas, the Adizero Adios Pro 2, which features carbon fiber energy rods that are both lightweight and precisely tuned for a more anatomical transition. Everything from the ultra-light polyester upper to the re-sculpted midsole and the reinvented outsoles are designed for speed. Visit adidas.com to learn more today.
So we're going to talk about AEW. So now, like, when I search through here so I can find timestamps, I can find me saying AEW, and then we can go from here, as opposed to, like, trying to scroll through. All right, yeah. So let's go ahead with the I guess, this week in AEW.
Yeah, so big rating, second biggest rating in the history of the show. Beat Raw on the demo. I think they did a 0.53, I think. I would have to check on that, or it was 0.56. It was 1 to 2, but 1.3 something in total viewers. Absolutely insane. They had, it looks like there's a collision course for Bryan Danielson, Kenny Omega. Cole's got his first match this week against Frank Kazarian. That's going to be probably pretty good. Trying to think some of the other stuff that happened. It's all blur, kind of for me. There was a Pac and Andrade match that was pretty great until the finish. Of course, they had to do some foolishness. It looks like the door is open, maybe for Ric Flair to enter the promotion on behalf of Andrade.
We're not going to talk about how, like, the episode of Rampage on Friday is basically like Network NXT.
Feel free to break it down for us.
I mean, we got notable NXT alums like Bryan Danielson. You got Ruby Soho. You have two former NXT champions and Pac and Andrade going at it. The women's trios match was very fun. And that normally works as like that second really good match on a 1 hour old NXT network WWE network takeover or episode of NXT, and then they had their main event in the opener, but like their main event was more or less like Andrade versus Pac, and it was fantastic. and it was great. And then because it wasn't a big show, someone came out there for the fuck finish. Like that was real NXT, except it was at a way bigger venue. That was all the NXT. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out. I was like, it was a really fun Friday show. And a lot of people have had some concerns and worries about Andrade. Is he still the guy that he was that we had saw from 2018 and 2019 on the main roster, wrestling like Daniel Bryan, Rey Mysterio, and AJ Styles? And yeah, still that same guy. Him and Pac, like whenever they have their real full match with a complete finish, it's going to be fantastic.
Malachi Black destroyed Dustin Rhodes. Dustin Rhodes was awesome.
That match was great. I love that match.
He's just, man Dustin.
Is Dustin still better than Cody?
Yes.
As a worker? Yeah.
Yes.
I think so too.
Yes. If he has, this is the one time you pull him out, you pull Dustin out once or twice a year, and you tell him to like go get killed for his brother or whoever's about to fight his brother, you bring him in, and it just works.
Like there was a sequence in that match where after the Randy Orton back suplex through the table, they ended back in the ring, and Dustin's using his length to his advantage, and he's getting some shots in, and then like systematic Malachi is just like, I love how he wrestles in AEW. He just systematically breaks motherfuckers down. Like I can't. But anyway, he starts hitting calf kicks on Dustin, and then Dustin all of a sudden mounts a comeback, and he goes for a power bomb on Malachi, and he can't get him up because his leg is too beat up from calf kicks, and then like Malachi just goes and gives him a back body drop, and then Dustin turns the back body drop into a sunset flip pin, and I was like, God damn, like that boy can work. That man is 79 years old. It can still work.
So it looks like we got a CM Punk and Team Taz kind of feud about to jump off, and Punk has mentioned wanting to wrestle Starks and Hobbs before, so see how that plays out. It was an awesome promo in the ring, and it pretty much Taz was like, "Hey man, let's stop all the pleasantries. Let's get to the shits," and I appreciate that. Dante Martin and Will Hobbs looks like this was a showcase kind of to get Hobbs on the board. Hobbs is actually ranked number 2 now, and
really.
I think he's obviously not getting the title shot, but he's gonna fight CM Punk. So that's kind of good too. And Dante Martin and him, that spot where he jumped over the ropes and he essentially hung himself on the ropes and then he got thrown into the post. I've never seen that before.
Same. I was talking to Imp about that while we reviewed Dynamite on Thursday, and I was like, I've never seen it before. I thought it was super creative. I thought it was a great feat of athleticism and timing, because like one thing goes wrong and it's like he just falls through and it turns to a tope.
Botchamania.
Yeah. It got kind of wonky going towards the finish, but like he beats him with a huge spine buster, and yeah, like I think that Dante Martin's role as this spectacular guy that loses eventually, like he'll get a lot of sympathy behind him, and he could, we'll see where he goes. Like I'm not saying he's gonna be Darby, because Darby did a lot of crazy shit to get to that spot, but like there is a role for being the likable babyface that does like really spectacular stuff, but ultimately ends up getting whooped, and we'll see where it goes after that. Like there's I think him and his brother will be future tag champs. I think that's almost a lock. Yeah. Once Darius comes back.
MJF puts on like a highlight reel level performance on the mic. Just decides like, yo, I'm about to shit on the entire city of Cincinnati as a staff, record label, and a crew. I'm about to handle the Pillmans that are sitting front row and anybody else who walks out here. And this is a perfect way, I think, for him to come out in the aftermath of his loss to Jericho at the pay-per-view. Just on some new shit and him doing what he does best, just ranking on motherfuckers.
Yeah, and he's gonna beat Pillman Jr.
Yeah, Yeah, he beats him, and then he also sows the seeds with Wardlow a little bit more. Talks about it. Told him to go stand in the corner, look pretty. Wardlow ain't like that shit. Was reacting a little slow, and one day, one day it's gonna be on between MJF and Wardlow.
Yeah.
Ruby Soho and Jamie Hayter went at it. This was okay. I think they probably could have a better match.
It was a weird botch at the end. Like it was, from what I saw, there was some type of attempt or a counter or a block attempt of a reverse Hurricane Rana, and then it just went cattywampus and they both hit the mat. I thought that because they were basically inside the ring facing a corner, I thought that Ruby was trying to do a reverse Rana, and then Jamie was supposed to hold her on her back, and then she was going to Alabama slam her into the turnbuckle, but it just all fell apart, and they both fell on top of each other.
Yep. We had FTR and Charlotte Spears against the Dark Order. I have no memory of this. This was pretty boring, but only served to further the Dark Order little internal war they're having. Trusting each other, which I assume won't be settled until Hangman comes back to unite them all.
Yeah. I did it wasn't much of a match, but I did like John Silver's hot tag because he has a great hot tag.
Yep. Good to see FTR not having career-ending injuries either. So we talked about the segment a little bit with Danielson and Omega and the Elite. Cole came out. He did get to it with Tony Schiavone, which is pretty funny.
You called him a nerd repeatedly. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
All right. He is such a I don't even know how to say it. I guess he is such an unsophisticated villain.
A simple-minded badass.
No, he's a jerk. It's not even about coming up with witty stuff. He's just a jerk that gets angry and blows his stack.
Yep. This segment ends with the babyface army kind of coming out there with Brian scuffle with Kenny Omega, and this Brian Danielson is going to be a lot different than Daniel Bryan. I think we don't have to worry about him being some aw shucks type of guy. He's carrying himself like he's a bad motherfucker. And he'll fuck you up, either with his feet or with his holds. It's kind of cool and refreshing. And I think whenever him and Kenny get to it, it's going to be a masterpiece, whatever happens. So, and Cutler was awesome. They beat the shit out of that man at the end. And then we got Jon Moxley and Minoru Suzuki. Of course, you guys know they cut off. This show was running long. It seemed like, I don't know where the long running was, but all show it was it just felt like things were mistimed. It was how are they going to get all this in? And then they cut off the Kaizei Ninare, which sent people into hysterics. And Suzuki didn't look happy, but Wild Thing played. Everybody started singing Wild Thing, and then these two had a 7-minute version of their greatest hits.
Yep,
essentially. And I actually was fine with it. It was obviously it's not, you want your 20-minute match or whatever, or your 15-minute match, but they essentially cut out all the rest holds and anything like that, and was all right, and we got blood hard way, which was crazy. So I was I'm rocking with it.
I enjoyed it for the time I had, but when I looked at my phone and saw that it was, I almost said clock, I don't got a clock. When I looked at my phone and saw that I don't have an alarm clock. My alarm clock is my phone, right? When I looked at the clock and saw that it was 9:45 as Suzuki's music, and I was like, oh yeah, we're not getting anything special, or not anything special compared to their match in February last year. We're not getting that. I think it was New Beginning. So we're not getting that match, but whatever, for the length it went, I had a lot of fun with it. And it was really cool to see Mox at the end after winning, going to the crowd and bask in the fact that he drew the house that night.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was the show. Pretty great. Like, notable week. As we go towards Newark and then Arthur Ashe next week, that's going to be a very notable show, I would imagine. The NXT Championship, I guess we should mention Samoa Joe gave that shit up, and obviously Ciampa won it tonight. But I don't know, man. That whole thing felt a little funny. Joe put a video out, basically relinquishing the belt in his living room, mind you. Like, my thought on this is, like, the belt needed to come off Cross, for one. Joe was rehired to the company, and they wanted to get the belt off of Cross, but they didn't want to drop it to someone that wasn't established. Ciampa thing kind of throws a wrench in that, but just ride with me here. Like, Vince and Pritchard's knew NXT was about to start, and we never got anything on why Joe got fired in the first place, then brought back. I feel like this is a case of maybe like your Triple H and your Vince McMahon politics, where Vince will try to undo some shit Triple H did, but they don't even actually care to beat Joe with anybody, and they're showing Joe a level of respect, like, hey, we need you to win this title, but you don't even have to drop it. And they want to reset this show fresh, and this injury was a way to save face and to clear out the title picture and get it on who they really wanted, because either they don't find Joe useful or he's just a member of the office now, pretty much. Like, I don't think he's injured, personally. He dropped the belt on Twitter. Like, he didn't try to they did not try to direct him giving up the title to the show to watch or anything. Like, they could have just steered people towards the show with a Joe announcement on the show, I felt like, if it was a quote-unquote real injury.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to speculate on whether or not somebody's hurt or not. They tell me that he's hurt, whatever, I don't care. Real or otherwise, I don't care.
They didn't give us an injury. They didn't give us a time that he was out.
But, there's also the part where
they use goofy language.
But there's also code for them for when someone has a concussion. Like, you can follow the same frames. Like, he got concussed, so now he didn't pass concussion protocol, so he's out for like a number of weeks. And we have this show, he was gonna be a transitional champion anyway. So take the fucking belt off of him. There are so many weird things that are going on with NXT and like stuff. I mean, it's obviously the part where Vince and Pritchard have taken over the show, and like you're gonna have stuff where it's like the level of organization that NXT used to have will not be there. And it's going to happen. And you're going to be hearing about shows being rewritten at the last second. You're going to be hearing about, like, they changed their mind. They've gone another direction with this and the third. Like, you're going to be seeing a bunch of PCers get 3-week pushes and shit. Like, it's going to happen. It's going to be a clusterfuck. And, like, with the news of Johnny Gargano, like, contract coming up towards the end of the year, it's like people have started talking about what is he going to do, whatever else. And, like, you cut that promo, or not promo, but whatever, if you want to call it promo, I don't know what you want to call it. You said, like, Adam Cole, looking at the tea leaves, looking at like the landscape, he would be a fool to stay in NXT. Like, he needs to go to the main roster, or he needs to go to AEW, or basically leave NXT. And quite frankly, ditto for Johnny Gargano. There's nothing left for him to do. He's even smaller than Adam Cole is. I'm sure Vince McMahon fucking hates his guts about hearing about Johnny fucking Gargano the last 4 years, about all his great matches and such a great baby face and whatever else. I'm sure you met him in person when he was on those Raws with DIY, and then they broke that shit up, or not, they broke it up because Ciampa got hurt, but then like that shit spit in the face of what they were building on NXT anyway, when they were a tag team, when they were about to fucking feud for the title at that takeover WrestleMania anyway, that WrestleMania takeover anyway. So like, yeah. But one thing I'm sorry to transition out of the Joe thing, because I don't really have much to say. I don't know. I think they say he's hurt. I'll take their word for it, because I don't really care enough to even be cynical of what they're doing. I don't care.
I was going to say, because it looks a little funny, like the last two NXT champions had to vacate them shits, right? Finn Balor broke his jaw, kept the belt still through a whole cycle, right? Cross vacates the shit immediately, like, and they disclosed the injury. So like when they said he's out for a brief but indeterminate amount of time, I'm like, all right, it's either the vid or it's fake. Like that's where
it could be COVID. It could be COVID. It can be a concussion. It could be a fake injury. I would say those would be the three doors. And any other door do you think it could be?
I think that's it.
Yeah, I'm just not going to be the person that's going to say that like WWE is willing to fake out people on injuries, whatever. So because I don't really care. I don't feel like being that guy. If you want to do that, that's on you, Rich. I don't want that heat. I want no parts of it, and because like I don't want that heat, and also like I don't believe that they would do that. Like there've been plenty of people that catch COVID and they send their ass away. There've been plenty of people that get concussions and they send their ass away and strip them of belts and then don't tell us what actually happened. And maybe Joe tells us eventually, but ultimately, like I don't really even care. But I ended up transition over to the Gargano thing because I used to watch used to listen to Scott Van Pelt and Ryan Russillo, their drive time or their afternoon show. Their afternoon show on ESPN Radio. And every week they would have, pretty much after football Sunday, that Monday, they would have a thing called stats for the ladies, right? I had something that rhymed with stats that could be applicable to wrestling, but I don't feel like dehumanizing women, so I'm just going to point out something. I saw a lot of people saying. And we talked about this with the NXT, like going down really hard as far as their enthusiasm with fans, wrestling fans, is because of like their counter programming. One, they're counter programming for AEW, and two, the people. But before they even became that, like people that are WWE main roster people only hated them because they hated being told that the wrestling they watch is inferior to the developmental indie guys. So, I saw a lot of that, and a lot of people were like, why would AEW even want them? I hate him. And I'm just like, yo, y'all are fucking out of your minds. So I decided to do the stats for late. So go ahead, Rich.
I was going to say there's a lot of Johnny Gargano slander that was going on Twitter that, quite frankly, I thought it was a bit heavy-handed. Like a lot of people saying they hope he goes back to the indies, James. This is what I was seeing from people. I'm
yeah. So interesting. So, Rich, I had some time on my hands, so I decided to look up and see how many WWE matches on CageMatch.net in the history of WWE have ever been rated 9.0 or higher. The number is 103. I'm not even going to go through the list of, because I actually wrote down all the people that were involved, except for like, a Royal Rumble. I'm not doing that. That was one Royal Rumble, but everybody else that took part in one of the 102 matches in WWE history that ever got rated 9 or higher by the fan service CageMatch.net. Rich, where would you think Johnny Gargano would rank? And I'm going to give you a number. Do you think he ranks in the top 20?
Yes.
Do you think he ranks in the top 15?
Yes.
Do you think he ranks in the top 10?
Yes.
Do you think he ranks in the top 5?
Yes.
He's number 5. Out of the 103 matches rated 9 or higher according to Cage Match in WWE history, he has participated in 10 of them.
This don't sound like a guy that needs to be sent back to the Indies. This don't sound like a guy that you just can't find a spot for. This don't sound like a guy that AEW quote unquote shouldn't sign or should stay away from.
Right. He is tied for 5th with Chris Benoit and Chris Jericho at 10. The people in front of him are Triple H, The Undertaker, Edge, and Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels.
All people with 25-year careers, right?
Yeah. I was getting to that. I was getting to that. You best believe I was getting to that. So, number 1 is Shawn Michaels. It's a staggering 16. 16! Edge is number 2. Edge is at 13 with number 2. 6 of those matches out of his 13 had 4 or less people in them. Only 3 of those matches are single matches. The Undertaker is number 3 with 12. He was with he was with the company for 30 years. Triple H has 11.
All death matches.
He's been with the company for like 25 years.
All death matches?
Like, so then you end up getting Gargano and Benoit and Jericho tied at 10 at the 5th spot. Now, Chris Jericho has wrestled 815 televised matches for WWE. Chris Benoit wrestled 437 televised matches for the E before he murdered his wife and his child and himself. Johnny Gargano, 108 televised matches in WWE history. 1 out of 10 matches, basically, that he's been in has been one of the 100 best matches in WWE history. But you dumb motherfuckers are telling me that he should be on some national television? Are you out of your fucking minds? You guys have soured so hard on this dude over the last years because of what happened in One Final Heartbeat. They are getting like, hey, by the way, what's the second or third best match in WWE this year? Oh, it's match with Kushida. The fuck is wrong with y'all? What the hell are we talking about? You think Johnny Gargano forgot how to wrestle in the last couple of years? What?
It's a lot, man.
People have said they are tired of the melodramatic stuff in his matches. I'm sorry. If that's how you feel, that's how you feel. But don't pretend like Johnny Gargano is some one-trick pony that only knows how to wrestle the WWE Super Indie style. This dude wrestled in Dragon Gate. This dude wrestled in CZW. This dude wrestled in Evolve. And even his card placement in WWE. What's the best tag match in WWE history, Rich?
Probably one of them DIY revival matches.
Yeah. What was the melodramatic stuff in that match? Where was the melodramatic stuff in like his first takeover match with Andrade? Not the one from the main event, the one that was on the undercard when Bobby Roode and McIntyre main evented at Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Like, what are we talking about? I think that was the opener of that takeover.
It was.
Are you allowed to put a melodramatic, emotional, overweighted, way too many kickouts in a 15-minute match? What are we talking about here? You go through everybody in NXT that was around when Johnny Gargano was around and he wrestled with. You ask and you say, all right, what's their best match? What's Aleister Black's best match in WWE?
Probably his match with Johnny Gargano.
From War Games 2018. What is Tommaso Ciampa's best match?
Takeover New Orleans.
Right. What is Adam Cole's best match in WWE?
Personally, I would say the one, the NXT TakeOver 25 match.
Okay, but if not that one, then people would say the one before, the TakeOver before New York. What is Ricochet's best match in WWE? Phoenix.
You think that's better than the Adam Cole match?
Yes. I
probably had to watch him back, but yeah. I remember liking that match a lot too.
I like that too as well. But that Ricochet match was like following the Aleister Black match as far as takeover chronology. In that match, more people like that Ricochet match than the Aleister Black match. It's like, I don't know what we're doing here. Like, what is there to discuss? This is kind of goofy to me. Like,
I want him to come to AEW for sure,
dude. Him, like, look, when he was in NXT before they fucked this whole thing up, I so badly wanted to see him versus Bate, or him versus Swerve, or him versus Dunn, or him versus O'Reilly in a singles capacity on a takeover stage, and it never happened because the pandemic
He'd
came.
He'd have all new opponents and a lot more of them.
Yeah, so he still had opponents there for NXT, but they're going in a whole different direction. They're not going to want any of that kind of shit on the show, just completely embarrassing these kids. Them kids will never be able to wrestle like that. Maybe you get a handful of them over time, but those kids will see that shit and be like, well, it's time to pack this shit up, possibly, right? But he goes to AEW. I don't know what kind of, where you would slot him, because he's not as hot as Adam Cole was or whatever else. He also has a lot more of an injury history over the last couple of years than Adam Cole. They're about the same age. They're both 30. They're both turned 34 this year, I think. But
Cole's only 32.
Okay, so he's 2 years old. Like, yeah. He goes to AEW. Like, what? First things first.
He does that. He is a car with high mileage.
Yes,
I'll say that.
Yeah. First things first with Johnny Gargano. He goes to AEW. He can't be a heel. He has to come back and be more or less Johnny Wrestling and forget all the way stuff, even though it entertained us at different points in time or whatever else. And and whatever else. It's a cool little side conquest thing to do because they're not going to make him the champion again or whatever else. That's cool. I'm not even saying he needs to be champion in AEW because I think that's way too. I think the price of brick is way too high with CM Punk and Daniel Bryan here. But there is no wrestling promotion that gets worse by adding Johnny Gargano, just as there is no wrestling promotion that gets better when he's gone. So I don't know what the fuck y'all talking about. I'm sorry. Like that's nonsense. It's nonsense. We're talking about literally one of the best wrestlers in the history of American professional wrestling. Yeah, we're talking about a dude that has 4 more 9-star matches according to fans than Bret fucking Hart in WWE. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, man. I think, I engage in some of the Johnny Gargano jokes, but there's levels to this shit. Like,
right.
He stares at his hands, and you need a shotgun to beat him sometimes. But I mean, I feel like you can't argue with like the run that he had, and obviously, I think the post for when he fell back off the title scene, essentially the whole time on national television, like that's put more eyes on him, like not in the most favorable light, I would say, not at his peak. So a lot of people maybe are be like, well, what's the big deal? Like, and they're not really. I don't think they're accounting for that the end of the network era, I would say.
Maybe, but then again, like they don't say this shit about like Adam Cole going out there and having fucking feuds with Pat McAfee.
Cole
actually deserves credit for that because like he actually made those matches like not suck.
Yeah.
And also with the help of the Undisputed Era and like his football friends like AJ Hawk and whoever else doing like smoke and mirror stuff. But yeah, I get what you mean. Like I agree. Like I don't think he should be a top guy in AEW if he were to go to AEW. I think he should be someone that goes out there and has a match with Darby and goes out there and say, God damn, in 15 minutes he had the best fucking match on the card. Like that's kind of reason why he got fucking over in NXT. Because he kept going out here in the undercard or in the mid card and kept out wrestling every fucking body. But people don't remember that part. They only remember apparently the fact that like Triple H told him to in the dark go out there and wrestle for 50 fucking minutes. That was Johnny Gargano's decision. I'm sure it was.
Man, I'd love to see him come in. Hell, maybe even give him a new tag team partner or something like that. And then, I know 2 dudes he can fight, so that would be pretty entertaining. So, I don't really have much more else in the American realm of wrestling, but I guess, James, it's time to hit the music.
Yes, sir. Okay, so the last thing we left off on was me like hyperventilating about Utami and Shuri having another draw, 4 matches, like 3 draws. One of the matches had 2 draws in them. So just really 4 draws and 4 matches with them. But I haven't rewatched the match, but I did see a lot of the reaction for people come in on it, and like I thought it was a match in the low 4s. A lot of people think it's a 4.5 star match. I think it's their 3rd best match, which is saying something, right? Like, I think that's their 3rd best match together. I think obviously their match from June. That went 43 minutes was better, a lot better, and I think that their match on the last night of the Grand Prix last year when they went to a 20-minute draw was also better. But maybe it was a more packed crowd, bigger venue, maybe it played in me, but like I still thought that not to say that some your 3rd best match, some 4.25 star match is some type of downgrade, but maybe I've been spoiled by their greatness because like they're incredible together. They've been since the first time they ever locked it up. It's not even including like that Queen's Quest versus Donna Del Mondo for Quattro's match from I want to say it was July of last year that you love so much. So like they just have just a number of matches, but they just go together very well. But we saw that, but we didn't talk about the undercard of that, so I'm going to quickly go through that before we can get to the real. The show opened up with the introduction of a woman named Waka Tsukiyama. Go ahead, Rich. Get you.
Waka. You say?
Yes.
Like, how's that spelled, James?
Oh, this WAKA. Waka, like Waka Flocka Flame. Like, yes. I'm going so continue what you got. I already have something in place for her.
Flockavelli.
Okay, so because her last name is Tsukiyama,
did she come out to
Hard in the Paint?
Hard in the Paint. Oh, let's do it. What
was it TTG Train to Go?
Train to Go, Grove Street Party with snakes in the grass. Where's that?
Nah, she didn't come out to none of that. She is a I guess lack of a better word. Someone with like 20 something matches. She debuted last year in Act Rest Girls, another more Act Rest Girls plunder. Like, it's funny, the last couple weeks hearing about some of the cornerstones in Marvelous are leaving. Hibiki, their big heel, Meiho Suzuki, who has connections to Azumi and has been on, you've seen her in that, that tag match you saw at the 5th anniversary. She was tagging with Azumi. And also Makoto Shindo, another woman that's also very, very freaking good. A lot of people speculated it was, is Stardom were the culprit? I don't know, maybe they are, but like the fact that they're bringing in like these rookie, this is not the second rookie that's came in from not Tokyo Joshi, but from Act-Rest Girls. They're coming to basically like just eat pins. Like one of them, Mai Sakurai, she's in Queen's Quest. She will be dying and landing on a bunch of grenades for Tam and Unagi and Mina now that all three of them are elevated. But I don't know what's going to happen with Waka. It's gonna be funny to call her Wrestler Waka. It is. Yeah. But
Waka.
But because she's a rookie, she came, introduced herself, said she wants to come in and start a ring, and it's almost like clockwork. Like a new person shows up that's a rookie that fits into the future of Stardom category, and Unagi sprints to the ring. It's like, oh, you're new, you fit a category, I want to give you a title match where I'm going to drop you on your fucking head. So,
out there like fresh meat.
Yeah, so we'll get to that in a second, but welcome. Oh my god, somebody's going to do that on one of these interests she has. Someone's going to do that, but yeah, so
it needs to be us. Like, anybody listening to this show, y'all need to come up with the Waka highlight reel wherever y'all got to find them tapes, wherever they are in Act-Rest Girls, however you got to get your hands on them, dirty Google Drive links, however you need to do it.
You can use Stardom on the undercard of the September 9th show. She actually wrestled. She had her future match already, so against Unagi. But so the second match on that card, on that 9-4 card, is Hannon versus Death. Hannon falls for all the Death's goofy stuff. There's a point where they end up doing the spot in the corner where Hannah's in the corner, and then Death goes to the Death, Fukikin Death, and it goes charging, and Hannah gets to boot up, and then after the third time, roles get reversed, and Death says, I'm not running into you again. You bring your ass out here, you say Death, Hannon, Death, and then Hannon's, stupid 16-year-old does it, gets booted. At the end, ultimately, definitely didn't win, just a quick little comedy match. Then on undercard, just a random special singles match that has nothing to do with the Grand Prix, just a match to have. Nasty Boy versus Unagi. Now, Nasty Boy and Unagi were at Tokyo Joshi Pro at the same time in 2020 before both of them eventually left for Stardom in the fall. They went out here and had what most people like about Tokyo Joshi Pro in the undercard. It was a lot of goofy stuff. There was some like elastic band that Natsupoi had and wrapped around Unagi's neck and then went to the other side of the corner and then snapped it and it popped Unagi right in the fucking eye. I howled. Before she went to do it, the ref yelled, "Don't you dare do it." It was subtitled. Don't you dare do it. And then eventually they, after she gets snapped, they end up in the ring, with with this elastic strap, on both sides of the opposite corners with the refs, what is basically like caught underneath the ref's crotch. And the ref realized that last thing was like, "Don't do it." And then they both snap him in the groin. The match ends up to where they end up outside the ring, and Natsupoi ties up Unagi with the elastic strap, basically towards the entranceway. She tries to get away, and there's the 20 count is going on, and then as they get closer and get back towards the ring, Natsupoi wraps up Unagi into the ring announcer, wrapped around the ring announcer. Count gets to like 18. Natsupoi thinking like, "I got her. I'm just gonna get the count out win," and goes get back into the ring. Unagi basically traps her in submission and she can't crawl in, so they go for a double count. I was like, thank you, Tokyo Joshi Pro. Appreciate it. Anyway, so then they end up having, after that, you have Mayu versus Rina. I believe, I know what happened. I remember what happened now. Rina goes to give Mayu a handshake. I don't think they've wrestled since Rina just, like, in a random match on the undercard of a Cork and Hall show, just said, "I'm out of stars. I'm joining Oedo Tai." She didn't cross anybody. She just helped Oedo Tai win, and just like, or didn't stop someone from Stars, her tag team partner at Stars from getting pinned, and just joined Saki and just walked off to the back, and then she was in Oedo Tai ever since. There was no resolution to that whatsoever. So Rina goes for a handshake, and then like goes for roll-ups, whatever else. Mayu sells for her for a little bit, and then like beats the crap out of her and then pins her. Decent match. Next match is Julia versus Mai. Mai is basically doing her version of the Unagi trial thing, and she, in this show, goes up against Julia. Julia no-sold her shit. Julia rocked her with some of the hardest forearms I've ever seen her throw at someone, and then she beat her. It was pretty brutal. It was pretty hard to watch at times, the way she beat the shit out of this woman. Best way I explain it. Then you actually get to the Grand Prix portion of the show. You get Himeka versus Mina. Now these two have faced each other a couple times this year earlier in trios matches for the trios titles.
Wrestled an all-star match.
So, they are due to have another title shot at the trios titles with Himeka, Maika, and Natsupoi versus Tam, Unagi, and Mina, because their last match went to a time limit draw. So, they have this match, and like Mina just holding on for dear life against this monster, and this monster finally just kills her by the end. And at the end, Himeka takes Mina's trios belt and just walks to the back. It was a fun match. Now. It was a fun match, but it was obviously Dave versus Goliath, and Goliath won. Goliath. So
I'll be taking that with me.
Yeah. So the semi-main event was Konami versus Takumi, and boy, oh boy, oh boy, this match was fun. There's a sequence in this match that I specifically remember towards the finish, or the elite that was the finish. That was Takumi has Konami up in the corner, is about to give her the big three running power bomb. Konami escapes, and as she escapes, she grabs Takumi's arm and turns into a rolling armbar. Takumi transitions, then tries to fight her up and lift her up, but nothing doing. So Konami transitions over to the triangle. Takumi lifts her up like she's about to powerbomb her, but then Konami gets the lever, and then basically from a standing, while Takumi's still standing, Konami is doing like the armbar like while Takumi's standing. It looks awesome. So Takumi lifts her up and goes to powerbomb her. She does it, then goes to go finish her and goes for another one. Goes to get her for a running 3. Goes for a running 3. Konami escapes again, and as she escapes, she turns it into to an arm drag, and then the arm drag turns into a Rings of Saturn with her feet. And then, like, from there, Takumi's just dead to rights. She's screaming, dying, trying to get to the ropes. Can't make them. So while she has the arms and legs while Konami has the arms and legs for the Rings of Saturn, Takumi just basically repositions her hips and it turns to a cradle pin. And then Konami escapes that and turns her to her own version of to a crucifix pin. And then it's back to that pin. And then back to the crucifix, a deep one. Kicks out. And then Konami ends up escaping and ends up getting a roll-up victory. She turns another big running 3 attempt into a inside cradle, gets the win. I end up giving this 3 3/4. I love this match. Like, I've never really thought about how a Takumi Konami match would work other than I just wanted to see it. And like Konami, like, just like we talked about, like, when she's up for it, she's as good as anybody else in Stardom, just about. And like, she was up for it in this one. Like, I really enjoyed this match. So, and then and then the main event was the Utami Shuri match. So we move on to the Cork and Hall 9-6 show. Now this, how many matches of this did you watch, Rich?
Caught the Momo matches.
Okay.
Natsupoi and Unagi, and also the Momo matches, Omega and Natsupoi, and Takumi versus Tam.
Okay. So, the opener is my another challenge against Micah. Micah beats her up and stacks her and pins her, like you expect. Second match is the future match between Unagi and Waka. Waka comes out. She's dressed like either a LSU Tiger or a Los Angeles Laker. I'm not quite sure, but it's white and it's yellow and it's gold and it's purple. A lot in Stardom and a lot of other places like Marvel's, for example, and Sendai Girls, like, you kind of have basic gear for being a rookie. And I'm looking at her gear and I'm like, that don't like no rookie gear to me. That look like some good ass looking gear. Like, you put some money, invest some money into this. It was not a good match at any means. It was rough at points, but it would end up being okay. Unagi, is going to have to learn how to lead a match or wrestle from on top instead of getting her ass whooped and fighting from beneath in a lot of these matches. So, like, she needs those reps. But match was okay. I'd probably give it like 2 flat stars, but it didn't last that long. Next match, Kamatani versus Ruaka. Obviously, Ruaka's is bigger than Kamatani, but in kayfabe, you know that Kamatani is a way bigger deal. So it's kind of hard to, obviously, Ruaka's a monster and she's going to get her spots in. But, like, I don't need Kamatani to win every single one of her matches like an underdog babyface with a Flash Hurricane Rana. Like, she's got to just beat her. She needs another move. Like, she has that Fisherman Falcon Arrow, and she has the the Phoenix Splash. She needs another move for someone that she can't lift. Because I understand, like, you don't use a Phoenix Splash on Ruaka in the undercard. I understand that. But you also need to come up with something besides. She needs something. Like, she couldn't lift up Ruaka, obviously, but I need
some type of kick or something.
Yeah, like a big boot or something, because, like, you're Flash Hurricane, you're Flash Hurricane running somebody that you, like, we know you're going to beat. Like, that doesn't really. You skate out the back door against a 16-year-old. Okay. Okay. But yeah, the match is okay. Then we get to the Momo section of the show. Rich, I did not highlight these because the first match went 90 seconds and the next match went like 6 minutes. So I didn't really feel the need to have you watch them. But you saw Momo versus Death, and you decided to click on it. So what did you watch? What did you see in these 90 seconds of fury?
Yeah, man. I was watching this. I had no idea this was coming. I didn't really look at the the bottom of the screen or whatever, and it was like I just popped that it ended that fast because it was like Death does her corner charge, Momo goes out the way, she hits her with the fucking newspaper.
Oh yeah, that's a new development from this past weekend. She showed up in the match with a newspaper, and she bopped people over the head when it's popping the crowd left and right. Like an excellent comedy wrestler.
Yep. And then like she pops her in this video roll, and the video roll is like clean as fuck. And then she just doesn't kick out. And I'm like, and I pretty much come off my chair like, what the fuck? Like, that's why I texted you all caps. I was like, incredible match.
I thought you were joking. I didn't realize you actually popped for the finish like that.
Yes.
Okay.
And then fucking Saki runs in.
And Big Boots Momo's face here? Right off.
Yes. Now, was Saki and Momo a tournament match as well, or no?
Yes, they were both tournament matches. Like what ended up happening is like because of like 2 weeks of shows got canceled because of a COVID COVID shutdown or whatever else. Like a few of the wrestlers were in people's contact circles that had actually did test positive COVID, so they shut down like 2 weeks to make sure that people were going to be okay. So once that happened, they're now in a rush to fit in matches. So they basically like, hey, get Momo out here twice in one day. Yeah.
So they gave Momo like a smooth 7 minutes of work combined.
4 points in 7 minutes, Rich.
Amazing.
The efficiency
level off the charts. But yeah, this was quick and not really too. I like the finish on this one. I don't remember it, but I remember liking the finish when I watched it.
I don't remember. I remember Saki throwing a tiaras. I remember that. Okay, so I do remember. At some point, Saki, Momo ended up behind Saki, and then like Momo ended up hitting like the meteor to the back of Saki's head. I was like, God damn! Like, I understand it. Like, I like to send memes of Giant Sai getting murdered, right? Especially when she was younger. Like, Saki is really good at getting fucking murdered. Like, I got videos from like 2019 before Hazuki retired. Like, just like you press pause on the impact on a brain buster, and you still see like you can see Saki's head is touching the mat, or her neck is touching the mat, or Hazuki's touching the mat, but you can still see like Saki's head is literally perpendicular to the mat. You're like, how do you not break your neck? Like the highest of high angle brain busters. Like this is the brain. This is a brain buster would have made Undertaker and Goldberg blush, but like she's really gonna get murdered. Like also that lumberjack match from last year with Mayu, where Mayu just super kicked her brains out of her skull. But anyway, like they had a good match. Momo ended up just winning because like I don't know why. Like Saki has to be a geek, but they beat Momo like the old Edo type killer. Like she beat 2 of them inside of 8 minutes.
Yeah. I was gonna say this was like, who wants some Momo next?
Yeah.
Like, who else are y'all gonna send out?
Right, a smooth 4 points in 7 minutes. Like so, I think she has 6 points now. So next match was Natsupoi versus Himeka. You said you watched this, right?
Yes.
Oh yes, you did. You texted me about it. God damn it! I love this match.
Yeah.
I love this match. Like it. So Himeka and Natsupoi and Himeka are in the same fashion. Now Armando, they're friends, they're tag partners. Like we talked about the show before, how like the issue, the Himeka stealing Mina's belt. That's because like on Himeka's team is Natsupoi, and that trios team is going to eventually probably take those trios titles. So they start off with a handshake. And like Natsupoi immediately like turns that shit. She grabs that hand and immediately goes inside Kratos and the schoolboys trying to get her out of there quick. Like I'm trying to get this monster caught off guard and off balance off her feet. And like Himeka just does a great job of bumping. Like for a 5'8", 5'9" giant, in Joshi terms, like she is a very good bumper. Like she flops around like a fish. Like. That's one reason why I like her matches with Utami, because Utami can like, I feel like a lot of times Utami is like, I need to find somebody I can wrestle and not break. And like it seems like Shuri and Himeka are two people that and Mike are like the three people like she's okay with like letting loose on. So like it was a really good match. Like a lot of it was a giant basically trying to catch a bottle of water with their bare hands and trying to hold it in place, and like a lot of kickouts, a lot of hard, and they start brawling, and Himeka ends up working over Natsupoi's back and ends up getting a deep at one point we'll get to it, like ends up getting a single leg crab. Natsupoi makes the ropes. There's a dive from the outside to the floor, from the top rope to the floor from Natsupoi onto Himeka. There's a point where like Himeka works over Natsupoi's back some more, and then slaps on a deep lion tamer. Like she's literally sitting her ass on Natsupoi's head with this lion tamer. It was disgusting looking. And then eventually, like, because she didn't tap, she got frustrated and let go. So there's a point where she just gets her up and racks her a couple times with torture rack, lets her torture rack, and then hits the JB coaster, like that fall out and sit out slam. And then tries to get the pin off of that, and like Natsupoi reverses Himeka's pin attempt, and then Himeka, because she got beat by Death earlier in the tournament with that move, reverses that reversal, and someone gets a pin and kick out. And then by the end, like they're brawling back and forth. And then Himeka hits some bombs and then racks her to sleep. She goes out. I really enjoyed the shit of this match. Like, I can't believe. What do you end up giving this match, Rich?
I think I gave it like 3.5, maybe like 3 3/4. Probably, I'm in the middle.
Yeah, that's where I am too. And it's a 12-minute match on the undercard. I was like, it's a really good match. And like these two, like this is the only place you ever want to see them wrestle each other until they, split up or whatever. So, after the match, Himeka, because she stuck her hand out to Natsupoi, Natsupoi tried to screw her over with the flash roll ups. Goes out of the ring on the floor, and then while Natsupoi is basically by the ropes and sticks her hand out for a handshake. Natsupoi hurt because she got put to sleep by her homegirl. Slaps her hand away, like, whatever, you got me, whatever. And then Himeka laughs, and then Natsupoi gets on the apron and says, lift me. And she basically, Himeka turns around and Natsupoi piggybacks her out of the building. I thought it was the most adorable fucking thing I've ever seen in my life, Rich. I was like, look how adorable these two cute women are, and one's big and one's like tiny, and then they just had this match, this really like rough ass match where like they beat the shit out of each other, and at the end they can still be friends. I just liked it. Like, Donna Del Monte's baby faces, except for Julia. That's the only thing keeping them from being straight up baby faces.
Yeah, they fought real hard, was real valiant, and they went to the back to make up.
So the next match is Julia versus Mina. I did not recommend this match to you, but it was a short match, and boy, for a short match, these two, this could be a future big pay-per-view match, Rich. Like, these two had this like sprint that went probably like 7 minutes, and all they did was slap and brawl and farm each other, and like it was really fun. And like it ended in a flash finish. Like Mina was going for something, and then like Julia caught her and hit her with the Northern Lights bomb, the Akira Hokuto finish, and pinned her and walked off. Like, it was really, really fun. It's probably like 3 1/4 with 7 minutes. I really liked it. So do you watch Starlight Kid versus Kaguma?
No, I didn't get to that one.
Okay, so Starlight Kid, like, we talked about how, she's one of the best baby faces I've ever seen, and everything, but like, this Hill thing is working out gangbusters. She's really fucking good. I give this match 3.5 stars. Like, she's just, I don't know, like, if I were going to become a professional wrestler and I want to work heel, I'd probably watch her just for how she lays out her matches. Like,
how'd she lay them out?
I mean, it's just simple stuff, but it's like, because, the high speed elements added to it, like, it keeps the matches interesting and on balance, and like, she doesn't really like cheat. She's just aggressive and nasty. Right? Like one of the big moments of this match when like they're brawling back and forth, and then like Starlight Kid hits this gigantic elbow to the chest, and like you can hear it thudding off of like the entire arena all throughout Corcoran Hall. Like that's how hard she hit her. Like she's just really good, and like this whole mean nasty thing like really works for her. But at the end, like she's working over the top of Kaguma, and Kaguma has to fight back, and it also like hides some of the like limitations that Kaguma has like coming back, because like her moveset is like not as big as or expansive as like the other girls, because like when she left, she was still a young girl. They didn't let her, she was kind of like in that Saya Ida phase. Imagine if, like, Saya left for 6 years and came back, Like, she has the fire, she has all of that, but, like, she didn't really, like, practice all this stuff and all these cool things. But eventually it broke out into, like, a flurry of high-speed kickouts and stuff. And then by the end, like, there was a second rope RKO off the second rope and stuff, and they teased like they were going to fall and everything off the top rope before they did it. It was like really well thought of and added like elements of danger, and like it was a really fun match for a match that wasn't like all that brutal or all that like flashy either. Like I just like Starlight Kid style as a heel. It's hard to explain. Next match after that was after that happened, Kaguma won, and Hazuki comes out and says, "Nice to see you, Kaguma. It's been a long time since the last time I seen you," which is like, kinda. She was at your retirement ceremony when you quit in December 2019, but whatever. She basically said, like, I'm coming back, and I know that you coming back, and I know how you feel about me, but I would like to face you. And then Kaguma, she shoots her shot. She said, "You want to face me? I'd like to face you too. I'd like to face you at Osaka Joe Hall on October 9th. Special singles match, Rich."
Man, she just had this date in her head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just out of nowhere.
Yeah. Like, I look, if Hazuki had stayed, I don't think she's having a singles match in Osaka Joe Hall in 2021. By the way it was. Like, she left, she came back, and they've already slaughtered her into, like, somewhere in, like, some, probably fifth from the top, but still, like, in a match that will be fun. So I can't wait for that. And also, like, they're friends, so they're gonna probably, like, murder each other. So then, next match after that, some main event, Shuri versus Konami. Shuri versus Konami. We saw this match the first time at the Budokan Hall match, or Budokan Hall show, and we both said at the time, like, we both gave it 3.5 stars. We said, but don't let, like, that number fool you. This is a 7-minute match, and, like, if this match had gone a few more minutes longer, we're talking about an easy 4-star match. That's the level of wrestling they were doing. It's just it went only 7 minutes. This is the match that when we talk about, like, if this match, this is the match if they had got time. Easy breezy 4 stars. They kick the shit out of each other, mid kicks, battling with mid kicks, battling with forearms, battling for arm bars. Started out the match at beginning, wrestling on the ground and then getting up and then unleashing, and really fun match. At the end, Konami ends up getting a flash roll up on Shuri. Shuri has to leak points somehow, some way to keep this interesting. And, like, Konami seems to be on a roll now that she's, like, now kind of into the top tier of the block. She already wrestled Roaka. I'm trying to think who else she wrestled. Like, she's kind of gotten out of the way. Like, now you're going to get, like, Kamatanis and Micahs and already wrestled Tam, but, Utami's. She still has an Utami match left. So, it's going to be fun. It is backhand. Then the main event. Tam versus Takumi. Whoo! A banger. Absolute banger. So,
yeah, they fucked each other up.
Rich, what are your thoughts on it?
I liked a lot of the counters that would happen in this match, like where someone would run up, catch a foot, go to sleep. I thought that Takumi is awesome. And I thought it was great.
Yeah. Don't have the detail and the rundown of this, but basically this match is Tam is a top star in the company. Tam is the white belt champion. Tam main evented Budokan Hall. And Takumi Iroha don't give a flying fuck about none of that. She demolished her in a similar fashion to the way that she demolished Mayu in February last year in their exhibition match. This match is very much like, I'm bigger than you, I'm stronger than you, I kick harder than you, I'm faster than you. You have nothing on me other than heart. You're gonna have to heart your way out of the situation. And Tam has enough of it to where she damn near got herself out of it. But like, she was kicking her with she was hitting her with these gigantic, loud slapping shots to the thigh that was like her dropping Tam to a knee. She'd get up and try to fight back and kick her little weak kick because she has no base in her legs. That kick from out of her leg, and it kept going back and forth. And Tam would mount these comebacks, and like one spot in particular I loved a lot was towards the end was they're on the second rope, and Tam was on the outside facing in, and Takumi's on the inside facing out. So they're going for a superplex off the second rope. So Takumi gets Tam up. Tam fights at the apex and gets back down, and she slaps and she's fighting for dear life at that point in time. She's like working underneath. From that point, she gets back down and she basically lands on that hard ass turnbuckle. And while she's laying on the hard ass turnbuckle and also like trying not to fall to her death from like 8 feet, she slaps on a guillotine. Takes some of the starch out of Takumi. Takumi then fights through the guillotine and it continues on with that superplex that we were talking about. And then Tam fires up and out of that and then like charges and they continue fighting. Like this, there are so many elements from this match that remind me of like the stuff that like Takumi and Mayu have done, and Mayu and Tam have done in Mayu matches with both those two, and then to see like they brought out against those two was like, that's really cool. So basically at the end, Takumi has her Takumi is hurt. She's about to be put away. She escapes, lands 3 huge kicks, takes out Tam and then lifts her up and then drops her with a running 3 and gets the pin. And she beat the shit out of White Belt champion. An incredible 14 minute sprint, 16 minute sprint, whatever it was. It was fun for the time it lasted. I'm not giving this 4.5. I kind of feel like I'm shortchanged by not giving 4.5, but I'm not giving 4.5. I'm giving 4.25. I enjoyed the shot this match.
Yeah, I'm probably right there with you. Probably like 4.25.
Yeah. This is their first time ever touching in the ring, Rich. They've never wrestled each other before, ever.
So, I mean, Budokan Hall?
It depends. Like, that could happen. I think we're more likely to see the Mayu thing, but we'll see what happens.
That's right.
But I think down the road, because like the Mayu thing, like Mayu wouldn't beat Tam. It would be to put her over. And then like you get another match down the line. Like, White Belt Champions have been watching Stardom. Like, they leak points like crazy in the Grand Prix. Like, Arisa, I think she was eliminated before the final night. Julia was eliminated before the final night last year. And Tam right now is 3-3. So, like, she leaked one to Kamatani on a flash pin. She leaked one to Unagi. I think that's more of just like,
that's right.
I'm trying to help my homegirl out. Get her some points on the board. But like, Kamatani, and Takumi, sign me up for another White Belt match for them too. Or sign me up for a White Belt match for the Takumi thing and sign me up for another one, with Kamatani. So yeah, that's what we have updated. Like, and then next week we'll give you, we'll tell you what's up. I think next week, we're getting Takumi versus Kamatani. I think, but anyway, like it's gonna be fun.
That would be fun.
Yeah. But right now, as of right now, based on what we've after the in the aftermath of the 9-6 show, the leader on the Blue Stars is Micah with 7 points. And then following her is with 6 is like Kamatani, Tam, So that would be the people in the contention right now. Obviously, like Utami hasn't wrestled as many matches yet. And then the Red Stars, the leader in the clubhouse, is Starlight Kid with 7 points. And then Julia and Mayu have 6 points, and Momo has 6 points. But, you know, Julia's been injured, so she's out the tournament. We'll see what they do as far as if they have to make any obvious adjustments with the back half of the schedule or whatever else. But it's looking like it's a lock that, you know, the winner of Starlight Kid versus Mayu is going to win that red block.
All right, man.
So, anything else?
I think that's it.
Yeah. That's the end of the show. Be sure to raise whatever app you're using to listen to this with. Go to our Red Circle page and hit us up with a donation. We work hard for you, so give back to the community.
Do a little bit for the 9th anniversary.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. What is the gift for 9th anniversaries? I don't even know. Let's just say it was platinum. Let's say it's platinum just cause. Yeah, it's platinum. Yeah, sure.
You know, send platinum.
Yeah, send platinum. Yeah. Not now. If one of you motherfuckers send us platinum food, but we're gonna find you. We're gonna find a return address and come meet you with bats. Don't play us. But
do not send me no shit with a 05 jersey number on it.
Look, don't you dare send me some shit with Fat Albert on it, you motherfucker. You. But yeah. So anyway, also go to ProWrestlingTees.com/Social Suplex and pick up some official Social Suplex network merchandise. Also check out the rest of the shows. On Tuesdays, Keepin It Strong Style. On Wednesdays, the Ricky Clive Wrestling Podcast. On every other Wednesday, go and watch this shit. On Thursdays, the Grave Consequences Podcast. On Fridays, 8-Bit Suplex. On Saturdays, All Things Elite. And on Sundays, Grand Match Generator. Thanks for listening, y'all.
Check the clips on YouTube as well.
Yes, Rich is clipping up funny things or interesting things or people ranting from some of these shows and, you know, kind of get us out there. So, you know, be sure check out the YouTube and also check out Twitter for when he posts these clips. I don't know what gave him inspiration to do this. Was it because of your rant on Daniel Bryan, or was it because of me losing my mind over Utami and Shuri last week? Which one was it?
It was. I actually had a conversation with Catherine. She was just like, you know, saying, "Well, like, how are you guys going to continue to get more out there?" And I'm like, man, why don't I just start putting up clips and, you know, other shit like that? And, you know, before, you know, obviously video stuff was talked about and all that, but I'm like, I don't know. I kind of want to give a chance to have editing and shit like that. Know, I don't know about the whole live feed. So I don't know. Maybe one day.
Yeah, I got you. Shout out to Catherine. So yeah, that's the show, y'all. Thanks for listening. Later.
Peace.
Freakonomics Radio is sponsored by Adidas. Check out the latest footwear innovation from Adidas, the Adizero Adios Pro 2, which features carbon fiber energy rods that are both lightweight and precisely tuned for a more anatomical transition. Everything from the ultra-light polyester upper to the resculpted midsole and the reinvented outsoles are designed for speed. Visit adidas.com to learn more today.
Dunkin' is putting a whole new spin on pumpkin at Dunkin' with our new Pumpkin Cream Cold Brew. Smooth, bold cold brew topped with velvety pumpkin cream cold foam made with cinnamon and nutmeg spices. And there's more pumpkin for you to love, like the delicious fall classic, our Pumpkin Spice Signature Latte. Rich espresso topped with whipped cream, caramel drizzle, and cinnamon sugar. That's how we pumpkin at Dunkin'. Sip into the fall season with the $3 medium Pumpkin Cream Cold Brew or Pumpkin Spice Signature Latte. America runs on Dunkin'. Participation may vary. Limited time offer. Exclusions apply. Valid on Pumpkin Spice Signature Latte only in all cold foam cold brew.